Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on the channel. Today, what you've all been asking for now for months and months is finally happening. We have Metallica's Garage Inc. Disc 1 we're going to be doing. So let's get that out of the way right away here. We're just going to be doing Disc 1, the songs that they recorded for this album specifically. We plan to, in the future, at some unannounced future date, I don't even know if it'll be the next Metallica thing we do or not, but we will get to the entirety of Disc 2. We will listen to the whole thing. So, but for now, in this video, all we're going to be doing is listening to Disc 1. So, but before we get into that real quick, there's a couple things I want to go over. First thing is, this is the first Metallica video we've done that's like a proper album Metallica video in quite a long time. So I just want to let everybody know, for those of you who may not have been aware because you haven't been following the channel, which is totally fine, one of the reasons we haven't been releasing videos or getting together as much to record is because I was diagnosed with leukemia at the very beginning of the year. And if that is something that is interesting to you and you want to know more about that, I have 2 videos on my channel here called Cancer Update Volume 1 and Cancer Update Volume 2, which just came out relatively recently. And I basically talk about the whole story of how I was diagnosed and everything. If you are one of the people who's been following our Metallica videos over the last year, you'll probably remember that in like every single video I had to say, I apologize for sweating so much and for having a bandana and coughing all the time and keeping cough drops and everything. Well, we found out what was wrong with me, and I have cancer. So yay, we found out what's wrong.
That'll do it.
And so I've been in and out of the hospital a lot at the beginning of this year and the last couple of months. It's been about 2 months since I was diagnosed on January 9th. So I believe today is actually the 2-month anniversary or whatever, although it is leap year, so there was an extra day there in February, so I don't know how you count that. But anyway, there are multiple videos on the channel where I talk about that, multiple videos that I recorded in the hospital where I was showing people what was going on and everything, so feel free to go look that stuff up if that is interesting to you. And I just wanted to point that out because even in our most recent Metallica video that I posted, which Chris Parker and I recorded right before I was diagnosed at the very beginning of January, which is the I disappear reaction, there have been like 4 or 5 comments saying like, I had no idea you had cancer, Patrick. And so like, I'm imagining this video will get quite a bit more views than all the other stuff we've been putting out up to this point, just because the Metallica videos are the ones that get the most views on our channel and the ones that people have been waiting for the most, and I assume end up in people's algorithms on the side, you know, the recommended videos. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that's one of the reasons we haven't been releasing as much. Last year, our goal was to try to get 1 Metallica album out every month, and if this is your first Metallica video with us, we've done all of them, so go back and listen to all of their studio albums and us react to them for the first time. Me, at least, react. These guys knew more about Metallica than I did. We still have Symphony of Metallica, and then once we're done with this, Disc 2 of this, so we'll have at least several more Metallica videos on the channel coming out over the next couple of months. I cannot promise when or how. At the moment, it's a little hard for all 3 of us to get together to do this, and I want to make sure we do it with all 3 of us here. So we've got more stuff coming. We also are going to do, I promise, we're going to do some Megadeth. We're going to do some Slayer. We're going to do some of that stuff. I really enjoyed the Periphery stuff that Chris talked about in one of this just a couple days ago. Actually, my goodness, just yesterday. Wow, time is a blur. Yesterday on the channel, we released 3 special videos that if you're unaware of, you should go check out. It's each of us talking about our own musical taste. So there's a specific video for Chris's musical taste where he picked 4 songs and played them for other Chris and I, and we talked about them and everything. There's a video for me, and there's a video for both Chris's, basically. So there's 3 separate videos. Those videos are really awesome. We put a lot of effort into those, so go check those out.
So there's like 3 of us that are on the TV, like right now?
Yes, each one of us.
1, 2, 3, count us, and then like each one of us, 1, 2, 3.
I know.
Did a video.
Yeah, I try to plan my sentences ahead a little bit so I know where we're going, sort of. But
and each one of us, so that was 1. We were showing music to the other 2, and that makes
one of us wanted to, and
yeah.
let me tell you, while editing those videos, one of us just for some reason wanted to be very confrontational the entire time.
Oh, did you realize that while you were editing?
I did. Yeah, at the time it was, I guess, like being in the middle of a car accident or something, and you just don't know what's happening. Anyway,
well, it's the most popular one, so
yeah, that's true. We had a lot of. Well, actually, that's not. That was my video, and Chris's is the one that has the most views. So go out there and watch mine and bring my views up. Anyway,
so were you trying to be confrontational, Patrick?
No, I was not trying to be confrontational.
Right, that's what I said.
But anyway,
the confrontational one is the most popular.
Right, that's true. That's a great point. Yes, I see what you're saying now. Anyway, those videos are really great. Go check those out. But in one of the in Chris Parker's video, he mentioned we listened to a Periphery song, and I was very impressed with it. And so I would like to do some Periphery albums here on the channel. That should be coming up. We've also got Static X recorded and in the bank, and I just got to edit it and release it. The newest Static X album. We've also got Melanie Martinez's first album, which is called what, Chris?
Cry Baby.
We've got that one recorded, and I've just got to edit that. And I'm also going to be recording myself. The new Big Big Train album came out recently, and other stuff is coming out soon. Star Sailor's new album comes out at the end of this month. I've been waiting for that for so long, and pre-ordered my special edition CD that comes with a cassette tape and bonus CD from the UK, so I'm very excited for that. I'll definitely be doing an unboxing in that video, showing you guys the awesome cassette tape that we will not be listening to.
No such thing.
We'll probably
as an
never be
awesome
listened
cassette
to.
tape.
Why would you do that when you have the CD? But unless there was like bonus stuff on there that was never on anything else, I guess that would be the only reason I would listen to that. But what I would do in that case is hook my cassette player up to some sort of a device and record it off of there and put it on a CD, because that would be the right way to listen to that. Anyway, we've got lots of good stuff coming out. I'm very excited to be back recording Metallica, and I'm so excited to be back with both of these guys. And so we are here to listen to Garage Inc. As I said, we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to get right into it as soon as we can. I just want to get your guys' opinion on this album before we get into it. And I want to say that yesterday, when I was in the hospital, because I had to get admitted to the hospital again, because I had a stupid fever of like 102.7. And if you have 104.0, you have to like call an ambulance or something. So it's baloney. Anyway, they kept me in the hospital for 2 days, and I just got out this morning or this afternoon. And so thank goodness we're here to do this now. But anyway, I had time, is what I'm trying to say. I had time where I was doing nothing but sitting around. And so I read the whole wiki article for Garage Inc. And I was debating about loading up a playlist on Spotify that had all of the original songs on it and giving those a listen. And I chose not to do that because I thought it would be best to be as blind as possible, like I always am for these. And I thought if I listened to some of the songs that it would give away some of maybe the fun stuff that would be in them. Conceivably, I don't know what Metallica's version of the song sounds like, obviously, with the exception of the two songs that I do know on this, which are Turn the Page and Whiskey in the Jar.
They got played a lot on the radio.
They did get played a lot on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember specifically thinking Turn the Page sounded like phenomenal, even way back then, before I even knew like what good audio was. I remember thinking that it sounded really good. So I'm expecting this album to have really good production. And they recorded the entire thing, with the exception of one of the songs, in just a 3-week span immediately after they got done with their touring for Reload. That was what I read on the wiki page.
Sure.
And then I did read about the second disc as well and where all of those songs came from, but that's a whole different thing, and it's much more piecemeal from like different years and different releases and things. So we'll get all into that in a future release. So this disc has the disc we're going to be listening to. Disc 1 was all recorded for this, and 10 of the 11 songs were recorded during that 3-week period. The one song that wasn't is.
Tuesday's Gone, I'd have to guess.
I think that's probably what it is. And that was one that they recorded with a bunch of other people in a recording, like a live radio session, where they were broadcasting stuff live and they had other people there. So there's like guest musicians on that one, I guess, though I don't really know. But all the other songs were recorded just by them with Bob Rock or Rick Ross. Which guy's the guy that was doing their stuff?
Rock.
Bob Rock, who did...
The production of this, I think, I say is very much in the load-reload pipeline.
Right,
so
which I'm very excited about. I'm very excited about that because I love those two albums, especially the way they sound as well. Though I think from what you guys have told me, there's some like more metal stuff on this. So we might be getting load-reload production with metal music rather than the more like bluesy rock that those two albums are. So I'm excited to see what that is. Although we did get a lot of stuff that was kind of like that on Hardwired, but Hardwired still did have a bit more of like an edge to it, I think, in terms of the production rather than Load and Reload, which was a little bit more straightforward. But also I really liked the tone of the guitars and the drums and the way everything sounded on those two albums.
They've never sounded better than Load and Reload era.
I would agree with that as well. So what are your guys' histories with this album, and what do you think of this album before we're going into this and listening to it? And when's the last time you listened to it, probably in full?
Front to back, not super recently, but I do really like this album a lot. And I've always said Metallica's version of any song is better than whoever else wrote it. Like, other covers are just always better.
Sure.
And I am waiting for that to not be true. And I think that this album's fantastic.
Have they done covers of songs in more recent times that they just, or like this is pretty much all the covers they've ever done?
I do
right?
think this is it, yeah.
I wonder why they stopped doing it, just because they got so huge they had enough.
I think it's more about why did they do this one.
This was at the height of their hugeness.
Right, but it was also
I guess that's true, but
right before they broke up.
I guess in terms of
before
what I meant by
Jason
hugeness
left.
was like size of catalog.
Oh.
Like they could easily do any number of hours just playing their own music, and probably there's enough people in the crowd that like demand they hear certain Metallica songs, and so they don't maybe necessarily have time to fit in something. I don't know.
My guess is more like
No, they still play covers.
they were riding a wave of popularity and they needed something to come out, but they were burned out from
the first
load and reload. And I mean, this is all speculation. I'm just
Or
guessing,
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Or it was like right at the kind of tail end of that mid 90s, like anything could be on a CD and people would buy it, especially if it was Metallica. So like they probably just made a tremendous amount of money by playing songs that they already knew that other people wrote. Like,
Yeah, which
cover album's a great way to fill a gap for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, but the thing is, I do agree with everything you guys are saying, but I don't know if that necessarily applies in this case because they just got off the Reload tour, and I think this was released like the year after Reload came out, because Reload came out in 97, I believe, and this is 98. And
Well, I think that they were hitting it pretty hard, like drugs and stuff too, in the mid 90s, which is one of the things that led to everything that happened with Saint Anger and some kind of monster documentary and all that stuff, like James going into rehab and Jason leaving the band. So it's like they did Load and Reload, and then they did this, which doesn't have any original songs, and then S&M has 2 original songs, and then nothing until Saint Anger. Like there's a huge gap in the period of time where they didn't actually write anything.
So what was Saint Anger, 2003?
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this album?
Never listened to it.
Really, you've never heard this?
I don't think so.
But
I
you-
mean, I've heard this. I've heard the 2 songs.
I'm curious to know
Sorry,
if
Chris.
you know any of the songs by the original artists. That's what I'm
The
curious.
Misfits ones.
There's a couple of songs on here that you are gonna hate, but
Me or
several,
Chris?
him for
Yeah.
sure. You'll probably hate him too. This is not a perfect album, but there's like that Merciful Fate medley absolutely rules. Like I love that so much. It's the best way to
It's
spend
like a
12
million
minutes.
minutes long, too.
Yeah, well, it's like 3 songs.
And I don't know any. No, it's not. It's like 7.
Oh, even better.
And it's like, and I don't know I know I've heard of Merciful Fate, but I don't know any
Yeah,
of their
I
music.
don't.
as far
I have
as
no idea. I don't think I would. I mean, I think I may recognize like 1 or 2 of the bands that they're covering here, but I have never heard any of the original songs.
Yeah, this
I
just.
think Loverman might be a Lou Reed song.
No, it's Nick Cave.
Oh,
the
okay.
bad
It's
seeds,
Nick
yeah.
Cave that came out like very. I was looking this stuff up. I have no idea, but
Hold on. The reason I'm looking up on my phone right now the production of this album, because like the first thing it says, the day after Metallica finished the North American leg of the Poor Retouring Me tour in San Diego's whatever amphitheater, they hit the studio to start recording a new album of cover versions. As Lars explained it, the band wanted to do something different after 3 pretty serious albums in a row, starting with the Black Album and then Load and then Reload. And the process would be easier by working with covers, especially as the band had a tradition of taking other people's songs and turning them into something very Metallica, different from what the original artists did. Given that the band had recorded many covers that were spread across various releases, such as B-sides and their singles and the 1978 blah blah Garage Days Revisited, the band would put all of them in a nice little package for easy listening. So that was what Lars said in terms of why they did this. So they wanted to just basically put all the stuff, all the covers that they'd done up to that point out in one disc, and then all this other stuff that they did, I assume they just kind of wanted to do to get it recorded, play something different, have some fun. Again, they did it in 3 weeks, which we've been reading up to this point that Metallica takes months and months to record albums. So them recording a whole album in 3 weeks, to me, says that this was probably more of a fun thing for them to do.
Yeah.
And this
it's
is-
interesting that he mentions the history of taking other people's songs and making them Metallica. It's like, when did you ever do that?
Yeah,
You've
I
never
was gonna
covered a
say,
song
I don't
before
really
or
know.
since.
Yeah. But I mean, they did have there are 16 songs on the disc too. So conceivably, they had done and released 16 songs. I think some of them.
I mean,
like,
maybe he's talking personal history, and it's like not a history any of us are familiar with.
Yeah. And I know on the second disc that there's like the last 4 songs, for example, are all Motorhead songs that they did for like a special benefit for them in 1995. So those are all live Motorhead songs. And then
I could go my whole life without listening to the second disc on this album.
well, it's interesting because we've gotten a lot of comments about people being excited for us to react to this, and I would say it's pretty much even. People requesting that we listen to the second disc and specifically Garage Days Revisited. People really want us to listen to that, and I just
What's Revisited?
I just can't understand why, because it's all junk from the 80s, which is like, but
Oh man.
but a lot of people
It's
have also
tough to call it junk from the 80s when it's metal. Like it's a different world.
well, the songs that were on
music.
that are Helpless, The Small Hours, The Wait, Crash Course in Brain Surgery, and Last Caress / Green Hell.
That's it?
Yeah. Then there's Garage Days Revisited, or the original 84 version, which is I Am Evil and Blitzkrieg.
Am I?
So what about Bread Fan and
Did I
Prince and
say I
Stone
Am
Cold
Evil?
Crazy and So What, Killing Time, Overkill? What are all those? When
Those
did
are all
show?
rare sides and one-offs that were singles, that accompanied singles from 1988 through 1991, and then the last 4 songs are all from the Motor Headache 1995 benefit show.
Wow, crazy. Okay.
So, but
So yeah, maybe it sounds like it's something that they probably did a lot live then.
But I would say we've had, that must be the case. But I would say we've had a lot of, just as many people request the second disc, and like I said, specifically the Garage Days stuff, along with this first disc that we're doing today. So we've had a lot of people say that they think this is the best Metallica ever sounded. They did a really great job interpreting the songs. So, okay, so now that we've gone through some of those things, I have a really big question for us to discuss, and I don't want to discuss it for very long. So we're at 16 minutes right now. If we get to 30 minutes and we're still discussing this, so I'm going to put a stop to
We
it.
haven't answered the question.
So here's the question. How do we feel about covers in general? And
Here we
do
go.
you think that this is a Metallica album? Go.
Here we go. We've had arguments about covers in
So
the past.
many discussions about this.
And I have changed my views on them, I'd say, over the years. Because I used to be firmly in the camp of like, I want this to sound as close to the original as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't feel that way anymore.
Good for
And-
you.
Yeah. What a boring way to waste of a song.
Right. I mean, what's the point of that, really?
Right's the point.
And the reason
exactly.
we started talking about it originally was that Proto Men album, right? Because you had that
Right.
Proto Men album that had that great cover of. There was a whole covers album, wasn't it?
Yeah, they have that cover of In the Air Tonight specifically that is just so good.
And I'm
it
like,
is-
this sounds-
It is overwhelmingly the same, but I think that one is still uniquely them. And actually, a lot of the same ways that I think that the Metallica covers hit, where it's like, this really just is, it's like, it's not like a marimba version or something, It's like, it's still the song with all the, the same instruments and relatively the same structure, but there's some element of it that makes it unique to
A little
that
different,
particular
yeah.
band.
I mean,
Yeah,
usually when
that, I mean, that Proto Man cover is almost exactly the same, except for that one bass synth that they stick in there that makes that song just 100 times better. It's so perfect.
It is really cool. And the thing is, it's tough kind of because In the Air Tonight is such an iconic song. You almost think like you shouldn't touch it. And it sounded great initially to begin with. Like I could see the idea of taking something that was recorded poorly because of the time or the money that was available to the band when they recorded it and then recording it better or more, whatever. Trying to like bring it up to modern standards. I could see that. And a lot of bands do that with their own music,
Do they a lot?
Yeah.
But how often
or they
Name
used
two more than Taylor Swift.
Well, the
I was
thing
gonna say,
thought
I
of
wish
first,
more bands would do
the
that.
thing I thought of first was I have 80s compilation CDs, and like the record label that put out the compilation wasn't going to pay like BMG or Sony for the rights to use Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away, but they could give the band $2,000 to go into the studio and re-record I Ran So Far Away, and their Flock of Seagulls in 1997, they don't have any
That's
money.
really interesting.
So they're like, okay, we'll do it. And so I have whole discs full of re-recorded individual songs from like the 80s, the 90s, whatever. And I bought those, and you have to look on it. It's like all original recordings by the original artists. Yes.
That's really
It is original
That is kinda
recordings
cool.
by the original artists. No, they are all terrible. For the most part, they're all cheap and terrible. Or like you hear like a whatever, like Journey re-recording their whatever classic album to sell alongside their new one because they're like, please God, anyone buy our new album. So in order to buy our new album, we'll incentivize you with re-recordings of greatest hits of ours, right? Or something like that. They did that with their album that came out like 2010. Which I have. I bought from Walmart for $1.50 because it was in the clearance bin. And so like, which is where that album deserves to be because it's awful. But
I heard a story similar to this recently, and I'm going to try to get the details right because it's been a minute, but Roy Orbison lost the rights to a bunch of his music at one point, and he had to re-record them to even be able to just play them, legally speaking. And there was a Roy Orbison song that David Lynch used in Blue Velvet, In Dreams, I believe is the name of the song. And he couldn't play it because he didn't have the rights to it anymore. So Roy Orbison re-recorded that song with David Lynch as a producer for a version that's specific to the movie. And I think that that's super neat. And I love David Lynch so much.
I think that kind
of I would love to hear that. I don't know Roy Orbison well enough to even know the differences between the versions and stuff, but
I think that kind of stuff happens a lot more than a person thinks, where bands will re-record their own stuff just to give the copyright to that to whoever is going to pay for it. And obviously we are all familiar with Taylor Swift and what she's doing with her albums and re-releasing them and stuff. So you bring up a good point with that. But that's a little different than what we're talking about. Obviously, in this case, we're talking about a band re-recording other people's songs and interpreting it as their own self. So I will
say to that, however, if it is a song that is obscure enough where it would be like, here's a song that is an influence on them that is crappy and they're going to do a cover of it, if only just to make it sound better. It's so rare that a cover song is ever announced as a cover. So often I'll hear a song, it's like, oh, this song rules. And then you find out 10 years later, that's a cover of what? And then you hear it's like, oh, this is trash. No wonder they recorded it, but I never know when it's a cover unless I've already heard it. Which
if you tell me it's a cover beforehand, immediately to me, my excitement level goes from up here, the new Metallica album we're going to listen to
completely agree.
I have
1,000%.
No desire to listen to Metallica playing other people's songs. I wish they would just record another album of Metallica songs. That's what I want. And so that's one of the reasons I wasn't excited to do this really for so long, and why we didn't do it in sequential order or anything like that. Not that we did any of the albums really in sequential order.
But it's so interesting because you could make an argument for the fact that it's this is a song that now sounds like Metallica because they covered it. And so
and if I've never heard the original, does it really matter?
Right. What's the difference?
No.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I know that
I agree.
They didn't write it. So it's I don't know. How
and
do
that's
you feel?
The thing is even listening to this album 1,000 million times the way I have, I couldn't pick out any one of these songs and go, well, this is clearly a cover because this doesn't sound like them. They have a way of putting everything that they cover through a machine that makes it sound like they could have written the song, which is really interesting.
And were you familiar with any of these songs before Metallica covered them?
Just Turn the Page. Otherwise, no.
Which, as I said,
I don't think I've heard. I still don't think I've ever heard the original version. I've heard Tuesday's Gone. I've heard the original version of that, which I don't like as much as this one.
See, as far as I know, the two songs that I know from this album are Turn the Page and Whiskey in the Jar, and I heard Metallica's versions first. I did not know.
And Whiskey in the Jar is that. Isn't that just an Irish folk song? That's not even
it's a traditional
song.
Yeah. But it's based on a Thin Lizzy song from 1976.
Oh, okay.
Thin Lizzy version.
Yeah. Thin Lizzy, not Tin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy. So, which I just read that on the wiki page, or otherwise I wouldn't have known that. But I have heard that version as well. And once I heard that, and once I heard the guy who did Turn the Page, which is who?
Bob Seger.
Yeah. Bob Seger. I was like, wow, Metallica basically just copied these songs. They didn't do very much to them to make them any different to me. I guess towards the last half of the song, the crunchy guitars come in and there's a solo probably, I believe, in both of them. But there probably are in the original versions too. I don't know those well enough to know. But as far as I know, the songs are very similar. It's just with slightly heavier rock drums and maybe some more distorted guitars.
It sounds like them so much. It's crazy.
Right, and I'm not saying it doesn't sound like Metallica. I think they just did a good job with those two songs, picking songs that fit them really well. The other songs on this, I have no clue what any of them are. And in looking them up, it's holy crap, there's of the what's 11 plus 16, 27, of the 27 songs on this whole disc, there's 6 King Diamond songs. Or no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Diamond Head.
Diamond Head? Yeah. Who the hell is that band, and why does Metallica care about them so much?
I think that they're probably an old band that they like a lot.
I guess. But they must have really liked
doing
them.
that, and I just couldn't
What, listen to Diamond Head?
Yeah.
I mean,
I believe it.
Sort of. It was months ago in preparation of this. I don't know.
I couldn't believe how many of the songs were Diamond Head songs, so it must have been a very big influence on them.
I don't think, right.
Which is really cool. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just okay, that's great. But if you're going to, I guess to me, for my thinking of cover songs, I want the song to be within reason as different from the original song as possible, a whole different genre, and I want to know the song ahead of time. so that I can appreciate how different it is from the original. And hopefully I want to really like the song beforehand.
You had the
Am I Evil is
opportunity to do
definitely
that
the
and
most
smarter.
popular song of
No,
theirs from
I know.
disc 2.
What was that, Chris?
Am I Evil, track 6. It's a Diamond Head song, and that's definitely their most popular cover on disc 2.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's electric
I like
song.
that
It's
song,
not
too. It's
that
good.
it's electric boogie woogie woogie song, is it? That's the electric
Absolutely
slide
not.
or whatever it is.
Boy, what I wouldn't give, however, to
Metallica
hear
go,
them cover that
it's
mess.
electric boogie woogie woogie. You could have Lars with his
He
mic on
would.
his side.
It's
Boogie
so-
woogie woogie.
That honestly, they'd do it.
Tenacious
they'd make
D
it
just
work
did
and it
that
would
Britney
rule.
Spears song.
But that's what I'm talking about.
I know.
It's these cool. It's when you take a pop song and you do it with a metal style, or you take a metal song and you do it acoustic slow, or whatever turns into a dancey electronic song. Like that's the kind of stuff that I like personally. Specifically, what I like the most is when you take a pop song and you make it into a metal song. I love that stuff.
The Metallica Blacklist, however, fantastic 50-song album.
Right.
And each one there's like 6 different covers of Enter Sandman, and one's by Weezer. They've got Ghost, Mark DeMarco. Like, it's a really, really cool. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, and I would love
wish
to do that somehow, do that too. But we don't have time for 50 song reaction here.
Right. I think maybe just. But
I think what we'll do is
such a cool album.
with that, which I haven't heard any of that yet. What I think we'll do with that is we'll let people on our Discord channel, which I'll put a link for that in the description. On our Discord channel, at some point we'll have some sort of a poll, or we'll let people vote on like which maybe 5, 6, 7 of those songs they want us to react to, and we'll do that.
And like every one of them, every single song on here has more than one version, except Wolf and Man, which has just one by Goodnight Texas, and it's like,
there you go.
meh. And I don't understand why. I guess Struggle Within also just has one by somebody.
Yeah,
Rodrigo
I'm really
Gabriela.
curious to hear Dave Gahan's version of Nothing Else Matters. That's one I
Yeah, there's so many Nothing Else Matters covers on here.
I'm sure there are, because that's a song that a band that's not a heavy band could cover. You know, not everybody
And they've
can
got
play
Phoebe
even a
Bridgers
simple
and
Metallica
Miley
riff.
Cyrus and Darius Rucker, Chris Stapleton, like they're all on.
That
here
all
doing
sounds
so.
interesting to me. Like how would
It
they
is
interpret
interesting.
that?
I really like it a lot.
But we're here to talk about this disc. And Chris, I'm curious. You haven't really said yet. What is your opinion of?
Chris, I'm not nearly as excited as Chris Parker is about it.
So do you like covers? I know you've done really cool covers with your bands before, but they're always very different things. You very famously.
I get why people do it, and like I don't know, it is kind of different to think about because one of the things I was listening to was I was just listening to this thing about Garth Brooks the other day, and they were talking about the big song
Thunder Rolls?
Friends in Low
Friends
Place.
in Low Places.
And like two other, and I mean it's different in country music. That song rips.
Man, I was
Dude, the
such a
production
country
on the-
fan
I mean,
in the
all
90s,
the Garth
and I know
Brooks
every
stuff
word.
rips so hard, and you can't listen to it on streaming. Garth Brooks doesn't have his stuff on streaming.
Interesting.
I'm sure that's some sort of cash grab thing, but
He can die with history then, I guess.
well,
It'll be a big deal when whatever that is settled and all of his music comes to.
So no, one of the lately. I'm getting way off track here, but he released a whole new record, but he only released it as part of a 7 CD box set that probably cost $150. That was only sold in Bass Pro Shop. So like he got and I don't know. I mean that's sort of like kind of the Taylor Swift game, except for like maybe like 3D because he probably made way more money off of that than he was ever going to any other way. Because he probably got exclusivity money from Bass Pro Shop, and then all these people had to buy 7 CDs if they really wanted to listen to one. And who's going to care about new Garth Brooks anyway?
And they'd probably bought them for the old ones anyway.
But the interesting thing about that, it's different with rock music, and it's different, since like the Beatles and beyond. But like back in before the Beatles and around that time, and then also
Elvis.
in country music and stuff, like there are people that write songs and there are people that perform songs, because that same thing happened with Achy Breaky Heart, which I was listening to something about that too. I'm not just listening to stuff about country music, it just happened to come up, but like 1 or 2 other people did that too and it went nowhere. I don't know. I don't care about covers. Like I get that you do them live, and I think that it's cute and it can be funny. Recording a whole album of it like kind of makes me a little bit cringy. And also I read like the first 2 pages of the liner notes here before we started, and it sounds to me like Metallica is a little bit defensive about that because they're like, yeah, we're doing these covers, but also we've been doing these since forever, and every band does that, and the Beatles did it, and the Who did it, and like all of these other bands did it, so it's fine that we do it. Which
Boy.
I just like, I don't think you guys know.
Nobody's, I mean, yeah, we know. Covers is not a unique thing.
But it
like,
is.
I don't know who's coming down on top of it.
Yeah,
for
and they
that,
had 2 huge hits with this. Like, those 2 songs were like on the radio all the freaking time when we were in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still played on the radio now on classic rock stations.
Yeah, I was looking at this, like, dang it. Oh, yeah. So the number of plays per song on just looking at the list here, like, most of them are like 1 million, 2 million, 4 million, and then Turn the Page is 179 million, and then 21 million, 6, 3, 4, and then you get to Whiskey and it's 350 million. Like, there's definitely the hits
Yeah.
of
which
this
is
album
nuts.
for sure.
So
30 minutes, we're done.
Yep. So let's just go ahead and get into this.
Perfect.
You have the songs pulled up, Chris. I put them in the folder for you.
Yep, good to go.
Okay, let me get our disc going and load them up here.
Oh, yeah, this first song sucks. I take back what I said about how it's like you hear this and you go, well, that's not a Metallica song.
All right, so Chris, are you ready to listen to track 1?
Yes.
The new recordings from 1998, Free Speech for the Dumb. We should have.
we go.
Does someone have a list pulled up of who the original artist
This is
was?
Discharge.
This is from
Don't
the
know who
band
that is.
Discharge. Oh, also, before we get started now, I can open this. For my drink for this special video for you guys, I bought this. It is a Ghost energy drink, blue raspberry Sour Patch flavored.
Wow.
And I bought it because the total amount of carbohydrates is 1. The total amount of sodium is 35. 0 fat, 0 cholesterol, 0 sugars.
I would hate to to drink something that had cholesterol in it. It just seems like it would be something congealy.
So, okay, I've had this in my fridge for like weeks and weeks because I thought I would drink it when we were doing something else. So I'm just going to give this a shot. Hold on, everybody. This is Ghost energy drink, 0 sugar, blue raspberry Sour Patch flavored. I like it.
Smells terrible.
I like it. It's very fruity. It's very...
I was waiting for
I'm
the...
sure you can smell it from all the way over there.
It smells like that
Yeah.
super, like, yeah, right, high frequency blue raspberry smell.
You can always smell it when somebody opens one of those nearby. It's
And
great.
so it's pretty good. I don't know. We'll see if it makes me sick. If we have to pause
I thought
the
you
video for a while.
were gonna do that thing that seems to happen every time you do a new drink lately, especially energy drinks, where you're like, well, this is disgusting,
And then
by the
enjoy
end of the
it.
video, you're a big fan. Like,
Yeah.
you drink it all.
No, I do like it, and everybody knows that I like blue raspberry is like my favorite flavor of stuff,
My
which is
sister's
why I
the same
picked it.
way, yeah.
So, okay, all right. Track 1, Free Speech for the Dumb from the what? Discharge, from the band Discharge. You ready, Chris?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1. All right, this is only 2:35.
Yep. And you've heard the whole song already, so you can stop whenever.
Listen to that guitar off to the right. Which, by the way, everybody, I have a new headphone extension cable. So when I say something's on the right now, it's on the right.
Because I'm hearing it on the left.
That lead guitar, that's on the right,
lead's
right?
on the right. The one doing this little solo shred thing is on
Yeah,
the
I
right.
meant the one that sounded like it was recorded in a tin
The
can.
other one, well, the other one also could.
Yeah, the other one doesn't sound
described
great
as
either.
sounding
I just
like
haven't gotten to that far yet.
Yeah.
Is this just an instrumental song?
No. Might as well be.
Drums don't sound stupid.
I will say I do think that part of the process of this was to maybe kind of just do it fast and not necessarily overproduced.
It's actually interesting now to think about it. The fact that this is in the same group with all of these other songs and like the load reload stuff, because this sounds terrible, but in a way that it also kind of doesn't.
It sounds pretty far away to me, which I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised at. So they probably didn't do a ton of takes of this. You know, they probably spent like, if they did it in 3 weeks, they probably spent half a day on each song. You know,
This song was probably recorded in a minute and a half.
well, 2.5 minutes. It had to take at
Right.
least that
No, I
long.
know.
But yes, I
Well,
get
I
your.
figured
Oh, just
looping.
loop it. So is Discharge a punk band? Okay.
That explains a few things.
I
Yeah.
mean, we know the earlier Metallica you go, the more punky they sort of sound, especially with the way James was delivering his lyrics or his vocals.
I don't know. I don't mind the guitar sounds. I don't like that.
I don't mind it either.
I don't like that they're.
When I
It's
say
so non-symmetrical. Like if they were just panned a little different, or doubled and spread out nicer, I'd
Yeah.
like it more. But
Like I said, it does sound bad, but like intentionally bad in a way that it is still good.
it's like garage bandy.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll
Song over.
We'll pause between each song, I guess. So yeah,
What's left to say?
I don't know what else we have to say about that. I think as that being the first song on this disc, I'm very surprised because if someone was on, like, if some teenage girl heard "Whiskey in the Jar" on the radio and was like, "I'm gonna buy this disc and put it in," and that's what she heard.
that's probably why they did
It'll
it.
be the same thing that happened when she bought the Stone Sour album that had the one radio hit on it.
I'm looking through the glass, don't know how much time has passed. All I know is that it feels like forever.
Yeah.
Dude,
You listen to
that's
that
not the
song
one
and
you're
you think,
thinking
oh,
of.
Stone.
You're thinking of the other one.
That's the radio song I'm
Dude, that
thinking
music
of.
video is so cool. That's where the characters and the people, they turn into cardboard cutouts of themselves throughout the video. Oh, it's one of the coolest
cool.
music videos ever.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that song is not representative of Stone
Right.
Sour as a band.
'Cause
And it's a perfect way to buy a CD you don't listen to.
I understand your point, though, because yes, the other song they had was "Get inside, mother, get inside,
Yeah.
which is totally different from the "I'm looking through the glass, don't know how much time has passed." I love that song. I actually legit.
It's a really good song.
I
It
legit
is a good
love that song. Can't believe I remember that. I've only heard it like 3 times. Every time it was the music video. Hey, in one of those videos, though, people were like, are we just going to ignore the fact that Patrick crushed it when he was singing that song, whatever it was? People are starting to get how great
We know
I
that
am.
you think you did because you did it twice.
People are... I didn't do multiple takes and put it in there like the best take. Is that what you're implying?
No, I said that you had to sing the line of the song twice, so we.
Oh, in this case.
Yes,
Yeah.
in this case.
Well, yeah. I'm always looking through the glass. Don't know how much
my
time has
God.
passed. Okay. Well, in this case, it's funny because, like, if you actually listen to that song, you'd puke out the back of your neck. You'd hate it so much. But
It's kind of just how I feel about Corey Taylor in general.
I am not a big fan of his.
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Though if someone wanted to, like, have us listen to Slipknot, maybe I'd think about doing that.
I mean,
You want to
I'm
listen?
mostly
If you want to listen
neutral.
to something that sounds really terrible, go listen to the first Slipknot album.
I'm
I bet
sure.
it's vile.
The Iowa?
It's
really bad.
vile. Yeah, it is. It's terrible. Like.
Yeah. Anyway, so that song, I think we all were kind of agreeing that the sort of like garagey unperfectness, like the the cheapness of it or whatever, gave it like a character that was interesting enough to hold my attention for the 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's the least Metallica sounding song on the album.
I mean, it only had
For that
like,
reason.
The lyrics were just what the song is called plus 2 swear words, and like they just repeated that part twice, and that's all it was.
Yep.
That's
I mean,
all. That's all I would expect the cover of some punk song to be.
As someone who hates
So.
punk music, this is exactly what punk music is.
Just the same thing over and over, and then yelling something that
It's
you
just
think
a
means
very
lot.
short shouting over terrible sounding nonsense, and it's over.
But again, there was like I don't want to say quaint, but there was like an intentional cheapness to it. Not cheapness even, really.
Yeah, it had
There was a thing to it, like an intentional choice to make it sound that way.
throwbacky. Yeah.
That I think was kind of nice.
Sure.
For 2.5 minutes. If the whole album sounded like that, I'd be like, wow.
Yeah, into the trash.
This fits with Metallica's catalog, but wow. You know? So let's go ahead and get to It's Electric Boogie Woogie Woogie.
Yep.
And
Electric slide cover.
We'll see what
that
this song
I really
is.
wish that they had now.
I'm sure we could throw it into an AI and make someone do it.
No, this is
I'm
a
into
diamond. This is a Diamond Head song.
This is a Diamond Head song. Okay, so this will be our first taste of Diamond Head. 3 minutes, 33 seconds. Are you ready, Chris? Mm-hmm. This is It's Electric. In 3, 2, 1. Huge, heavy kick.
Listen to that hi-hat. That's almost Jingle Bells, man.
I know it almost sounds like a tambourine.
That is so true. The kick, though, massive.
Yeah.
Very much like Hardwired.
It's like a different tone for a hi-hat to be. Like
It is a weird tone.
it's almost got like bells on it.
It's like dead center.
Or they recorded it at a slower pace so Lars could play it and then sped it up.
See, now that's what I'm here for.
The Lars hate? No, we love Lars here. It's electric. How many syllables can you fit in one word? But I'm not complaining. I like, well, a little bit, but I like James.
I never. And this might be just because I'm using my 770s, but I never ever heard how high and slicey this hi-hat is before.
It definitely sounds way better than track one, though, in terms of the production of everything. But again, it's not necessarily the production, it's like what they're doing.
Just the guitar tones that are like that. Well, the hi-hats too.
And I would say everything sounds a little closer, too, but... Definitely no auto-tune on this. Which the guy from who mixed Reload was like, there was no auto-tune back then. I can assure you there was no auto-tune used on this record. Well, apparently they didn't get it the year later either. But not everything needs to be perfect. Okay, guitar solo, baby. Ready for me to talk over the whole thing?
But like, listen to how Metallica this sounds. Everything about it.
I don't know. This part, like Metallica doesn't do that.
Which
That
part?
descending power chord thing that they just did.
Okay.
Probably coming back up here again.
I would be curious how much this sounds like Diamond Head's original version, you know? If we were doing this for real, we would listen to each version.
Yeah.
But who's got time for that? Nobody. See, now this Metallica never does. Let the guitars go away for a second. Holy Lord. This is a special moment in
3 different
Metallica's
songs
catalog.
that we can point to this.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's a very rock and roll thing to do, right?
They've done it a lot.
They never do that.
They do it all the time.
Boogie, woogie, woogie. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Lars should be in the background. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Then they'd have to pay the rights to 2 songs.
I don't think paying the rights for music was a concern for Metallica in
That's true.
1998 or whenever that
No,
was.
they stopped caring about paying for things a long time before that.
Yeah.
That was cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like that song.
I like that. I don't have any problem with that. I think I was joking around about his voice not being perfect, but I kind of think that lends to the charm of what it was. It's not, Lars doesn't hold notes out like that, like when he's singing very often.
James.
Sorry, James. Sorry.
Boy.
Sorry.
You'll want to fix that in editing, or you'll never live to see another day.
I don't care what people think of my opinion.
We know.
But seriously though, like he very rarely holds out like long sung notes like that.
More often than they let the bass carry the second verse.
Yeah, maybe.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that. I guess I wasn't thinking it from the perspective of does this sound like a Metallica song or not? I guess to me it just did because it sounded like Metallica, but like Chris has and I have talked about in many videos, like what's that thing that Metallica does that other bands don't? When all
But it's only Metallica that anybody ever says that about.
No, I know, but the thing
There is never one other band that anybody says that like this is what this band does and nobody.
I understand
That's
that.
interesting.
I understand that what you're saying, but like
I'm being a smart ass.
no, I know you are.
Oh,
But
I see.
but the thing is like it is just guitar, bass, drums, and James singing. So like something they're doing makes it feel like Metallica.
It's the guitar tones. They have a very, like, especially by this point, they have a guitar tone that they never stop having.
But like I said, don't
And
you think
that's the best I can come up with for what it is?
every person that was
because-
between the age of 20 and 150 wanted to sound just like Metallica at this point, and so they just got the same rigs and gear they had.
At this
and
point, probably
exactly
not.
copied it.
10
Like,
years before this,
Isn't that how we got Shinedown and all those other bands that are bands? And I don't even know. Isn't that how new metal came to be?
I don't know. I don't know if Metallica was a pioneer of new metal or just caught up in the wave.
Well, I mean,
part of it.
I would definitely say they were pioneers of it in terms of like I don't know, like if you take Korn and what Metallica was doing in the 90s and you put them together, you've literally basically just got every single new metal band.
Right, but I'm saying is Metallica just part of that fad that sort of appeared out of thin air because there's no Korn in Metallica.
No, and there's no Metallica in Korn.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares what Korn does, but...
No, they're two very different bands, but honestly, you put them together and that's pretty much every new metal band. Now that I've said that out loud, I need to think about that for a little while.
It is. It's one of those statements.
So
it's like,
true.
This sounds so true, but oh man, is this true? Like the ramifications of it.
If Metallica had rap in it, it'd basically just be Limp Bizkit. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say Korn plus Metallica is Limp Bizkit. Like
really, and Korn never rapped. Korn didn't rap. I don't know why people think Korn rapped all the time.
Because Korn scats.
They had one song that featured Ice-T on one of their early albums, but other than that, Korn never rapped. You know.
Yeah, but they do the scatting, the bibbity bobbities.
Yeah,
they love that stuff.
You're right, but that's not rapping. That's a unique thing in like one weird ass song that they did. The rest of them, he's just whining, going rah the whole time. Like
Dude,
it's
Limp Bizkit is so much better than Korn. All day.
I'm here for that.
Have you heard Limp Bizkit's first album though? It's not good.
None of it was good, but it's way better than Korn.
I don't know. I would say the best
Korn's
songs.
first album is really great.
Break Stuff is
iconic.
Break Stuff is
iconic, 100%. Music
such
video,
an excellent
everything
song.
about it is great, 100%. I agree. I think Limp Bizkit's singles are maybe better than the best Korn singles, but overall, I would say Korn. But also, Korn has released twice as many albums as Limp Bizkit, so it's a little tough to say.
It's interesting.
And I'm not even that big of a Korn fan. I like their later stuff. So like,
you think about Korn and Limp Bizkit as part of the same type of music, but if you think about a Korn fan and a Limp Bizkit fan, boy, do you have two different people. Like,
you really do. You really do. But yeah, anyway, whatever. We don't need to we're in Metallica mode. So like, but it is interesting to think that this was at the height of those two bands. You know, Break Stuff and Nookie came out right at the same time as this, and so was Follow the Leader and Blind. Well, Blind was before all that stuff, but like Follow the Leader came out right at the same time or the year or two before this.
But like when it came out, didn't people say that Saint Anger was like Metallica trying to kind of jump on the new metal bandwagon? Wasn't I think that was something that people said. I
don't know if
I know we brought that up in the Saint Anger video, but I could see that being the case. And when Chris and I did I Disappear, the song, we were talking about movie soundtracks and stuff at the time, and we were talking about Korn having a huge song on a movie soundtrack, Metallica having a huge song. U2 had that Elevation song off the Tomb Raider soundtrack. Like there were certain movies where the literal songs from the movie soundtracks got to be bigger than the movies themselves, and they were just literally trying to sell soundtrack CDs. And that's what we were talking about. Some of these movie soundtracks are like incredible, like the Spawn and the Crow soundtracks and the Blade soundtracks. And a lot of these are from like the mid to late 90s. But we're talking about stuff.
Mid-90s, that was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because they were literally just trying to sell CDs, and people bought these things in droves. I have whole shelves full of, because there's so many songs that don't exist anywhere other than on these soundtracks, and I think that's really cool, in my opinion.
I think that's not cool at all.
Like I Disappear was never officially released on any Metallica album. It's only on the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack.
Damn, it was on the radio a bajillion times.
Yeah, and the music video was all over the place.
I love that song.
Yeah, I agree. I love it too. And so, I don't know, and the production on it sounds sort of similar to this. You know, in our video, a lot of people were like, I hear the beginnings of the Saint Anger snare in this. I hear the beginnings of the Saint Anger snare.
I don't think that there is a beginning other than the first track of Saint Anger.
Right, but people were saying that the snare sounds a little bit more ringy in that. So I was trying to listen to that in this specifically, and I haven't really found anything distinct about the snare other than it just sounds like a snare.
Saint Anger sounds great.
I know you said that the other day to me. You were like, the more I listen to it, the more I think.
I'm thrilled about your updated opinion on Saint Anger.
I have
genuinely.
no problem with the production quality anymore. It's fine.
I still think it sounds awful. It's definitely their worst album.
They're all bad.
Other than Lulu, if you think of that as an album.
Lulu's not a Metallica.
Lulu's a Metallica album.
Says who?
Why do they credit the band? Why? They
know.
chose
I
to
don't
do
know.
that. Why is it Lou Reed and Metallica? It could be Lou Reed, James, Lars, Robert, and Kirk.
Lou and pals.
Lou and the Pals. It could have been Lou and the Pals, but it wasn't. It was Lou and Metallica.
I will say on Wikipedia, not that Wikipedia is the end all be all of anything, but they do not
is,
list
though.
Lulu as one of their
because
albums.
there's a whole bunch of people who are going to be in the comments talking about how Lulu isn't a Metallica album.
Yeah. Well, I think they don't want it to be because they want Metallica's album catalog to be like stronger. But if Lulu's in there, it definitely brings their catalog as a whole down like several notches. So, but in a catalog that already also consists of all other baloney we've heard throughout their whole dang catalog, like, I don't know, Lulu doesn't necessarily sit out of place with me too much. Okay, let's move on to Sabbra Cadabra. Which
I love this
Black
song.
Sabbath.
This is Black Sabbath. Okay, I don't know very much
Interesting.
old Black Sabbath, but I would be really curious to see if this has a bit more of like a doomy, sludgy sound to it, which is what I associate with Black Sabbath, but I could be wrong. I don't know. It would be interesting to hear James doing a impression of Ozzy or whatever, though I assume that he's not doing an impression. He's just doing it his own way. So, all right, this is Sabbra Cadabra, track 3 from disc 1 of Garage
Pink.
Inc. I keep thinking Garage Days. Stupid. All right, you ready, Chris?
Yep.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. This is 6 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Garage Days is Gorillas, isn't it?
No, this is Garage Days. Demon Days is
Struggling.
Gorillaz.
Demon Days.
It's Garage Days Revisited is Metallica. Okay. Driving bass. Anxious to see if the hi-hat sounds completely different.
The cymbals already
it does.
sound kind of
We haven't heard
Like-
any hi-hat yet, have we?
weird, almost artifacty.
It does kind of.
No
But-
definition, just
The drums just don't really sound that good.
They sound like on this song that they recorded mono and then done that stereo delay on. Okay, there's the hi-hat.
made out of
It's different
glass.
than the other one.
Yeah.
Like they just sound very contained. A lot of hi-hat. And why in mono?
I'm surprised at the speed of this song.
Too slow?
No, I don't think of Black Sabbath as being a song that would do anything that sounds remotely like this.
I agree.
Like a fast rock song.
Oh, a lot of Black Sabbath stuff is.
Sure, I only think of Black Sabbath as like Iron Man. So, and War Pigs, I
War
guess.
Pigs, yeah. And this being
Okay,
a Black
hold on.
Sabbath song,
Huh. It's weird to hear James singing like, "I'm in love with this girl. We were making love. It was out of this world." Also, how is this song still 4 minutes longer than what we've already heard? This is going to be a long-ass solo, if not more than one. And I did read that several songs have like references to other songs in them as well. So it might be that there's a whole nother song referenced at some point within this song. There is definitely an octave pedal thing going on in some of this. Like that guitar has some sort of a pitch shifting thing on it.
Deep chorus.
Or it could be that, I guess. Maybe. I'm not familiar. I just don't know enough about guitar pedal stuff, I guess. Oh, love that groove change.
the change has always made me think that the song was a medley as well.
Maybe this is referencing something different for all we know.
This is so cool. And the way that the guitar harmony here is very Metallica sounding. Like this is almost To Live Is To Die type stuff.
Yeah. That hi-hat sucks.
It does.
Okay, this says Sabbra Cadabra also covers part of the Black Sabbath song A National Acrobat.
Nice. Snare sounds great.
Kick is very loud. It has a lot of high end to it, but it doesn't bother me really. Like the relation of the volume of the kick to the snare is very overwhelmingly kick being much higher. Do we have Godsmack rearing its ugly head here? Some wah pedal? This was at the height of Godsmack's powers too. They were literally fighting each other.
Picked up a guitar.
Doubling of vocals there. All the vocals overdubbed during this part. Like doubled, sorry, doubled. That's cool. The guitar on the left is very squeaky. This is probably
Squeaky?
yeah. You really hear the between the between the notes, the like fret noise and stuff. Or I just noticed it there. Maybe it was just that part. I don't know. But this is probably Kirk playing rhythm guitars on this album. I think.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because he played it for Load and Reload and Saint Anger. Remember?
Well, he didn't say anger because he didn't have anything else to do.
Right. I was just watching our videos, and we brought up the fact that after Black Album, Kirk played all his own rhythm guitars until Death Magnetic.
Oh, his own.
When James played the rhythm guitars as well.
Sure, on the... Kirk's on the right.
That can't be the end of the song.
That's exactly the end of the song.
Really? Wow, that was a fast. Now, I wish they would have gone back to the chorus, but I don't know if they could have because the song changed so much, tempo-wise and everything. So I don't know.
They did go back to the first part.
Riff. Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
I was listening to trying to listen to too many different things there.
Except, never mind. Go ahead.
No, I like that. That's probably my favorite song so far on the album.
I do like that song. Yeah.
Like I said,
These songs are very sing-songy.
Yeah, which is something that Metallica, I think, has tried to avoid doing throughout a lot of their catalog, specifically with their earlier albums and Death Magnetic in particular. We always talk about the anti-chorus, where it's like, no, this isn't the kind of thing you sing along with, or verses feeling like they're starting in the middle of a verse rather than the beginning. This is straight up like rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
But they're just doing it their way, which is kind of cool. You know, like I was...
One thing
I was laughing at, like, James's... the vocals of the song, like the lyrics, and James like singing something incredibly simple or whatever, and it just didn't sound like. It sounded like Metallica doing a more simply written song. Not that it was more simply written, but just not.
No, I
serious.
get what you mean. Like Metallica has like
a
3 or 4
funner song.
things
Yeah,
that they sing songs about, and things that are as superficial as some of the lyrics in this isn't really their style.
Yeah. Which I guess is what makes covers fun. You know, because you do something completely different.
I was going to say, a thought I had earlier that I never really considered. It's an interesting thing that they do with this album when you're like, so it's like, that was a Black Sabbath song, for example, and then obviously there's all covers, and it's like, in a way that I mostly mean as a positive, but not 100% as a positive, it's interesting how they've made every song on this album sound the same, despite being all from very different bands.
Kind of. I mean, kind of. Like the drum shells have basically sounded the same. I mean, it all sounds like it belongs on an album together, but it should.
So far, yeah.
I mean,
like
I think maybe
peak
that alone
Metallica.
is what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was all
Like, I don't
recorded
even
in
necessarily
the
mean like from a production perspective. I just mean like, the more I think about it, it's like like when I talk about how all the Metallica songs sound very Metallica, I think it's kind of just, I'm trying to say the same thing in a different way. It's like, it's really interesting how all these different bands are happening, and they all just put through the filter of Metallica become Metallica songs that all sound relatively similar to each other. And it's, I don't know anything about music writing, so I am fascinated by this stuff all the time.
Yeah, I really liked halfway through that song, it really changed, and then it never really went back.
That was kind of a Black
what
Sabbath
I
thing
remembered.
too.
Was
Like
it?
Black
Okay.
Sabbath would do that.
And that's something that Metallica's famous for doing too. Is their
100%.
transitions? Yeah.
Did Black Sabbath have longer songs?
Yeah.
Like they were pretty long. That's pretty cool. I've always been interested in Black Sabbath, and I know I had one of their records that had Crazy. I think it's Paranoid. That had Crazy Train on it and War.
They wouldn't have Crazy.
Well, then it had Paranoid on it and War Pigs. I think was the. Or, no, I might be. The first time I ever heard War Pigs, it was the Faith No More version.
Nice.
And then I learned later on that it was a cover, which I didn't know. And then I think I heard the like Black Sabbath version later on. But I found a record. I have a Black Sabbath record somewhere sitting around here where the cover's all ripped up, and it was found in an attic of some. It doesn't matter, but it was in pretty bad shape, and I put it on and listened to the whole thing once. This was many years ago. So
Since we're talking about it, I'm just going to take Chris's spot here unapologetically. I'm going to issue a correction. That in one of our other Metallica videos, I was talking about how on all the Metallica albums that you know that it's, I think what I said was that you know that James is on the right and Kirk is on the left. We were kind of, or the other way around, I'm sorry. That James is on the left and Kirk is on the right. I'm still bad at left and right, even though that's like a huge part of my job. Like left and right. Anyway. I don't do this thing. It is a feeling. The one over here where the hi-hat's supposed to go, that's where James is.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if I know or not, and I definitely don't care like who actually plays it. But like the thing that I was going to mention, it's very obvious. Like in this song and on this whole record so far, it starts out like beating you in the face with it. That like it's two different characters of guitars on tones and parts and everything, because you don't have to do it like that. I mean, you can have like rhythm part here and rhythm part the same one over here too, and then have two, maybe more leady rhythm parts here or whatever, But that's an interesting thing. Slayer does that too. But
they do it this way, or they do it the way you just described.
Slayer does it with that. You can tell that it's supposed to be two guitar players.
Okay,
that,
gotcha.
Like, because you don't have to, and like that's probably less common in modern metal, right?
Way less common.
Yeah.
But again, I think that also speaks
even
to
though if it might be two different guys, and
right.
guy A might be on the left and guy B might be on the right, but it's not designed to sound so different-y as it always is.
No, 100%. 100%. And I think that lends itself to what we've been saying about the sort of like garagey nature of this, and the fact that they recorded it in a smaller amount of time, and like they probably went in, recorded the songs, and then were just like, okay, mix this. And then went away from it. Like I was even looking on the wiki page of the guy who mixed it, and he was won like multiple Grammys with all sorts of bands and stuff. And so I didn't get too deep into that. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just like went in and recorded the songs and then just were like washed their hands of it and like whatever it ends up being is what it is. And they maybe didn't care about this as much, which is why it probably sounds pretty good. And then their next album sounds terrible because they're like the exact opposite. They're like, no. We're going to control every single aspect of this.
I don't think that this, I mean, it's not
I'm not
really
saying
an
it sounds
apples
fantastic.
to apples comparison, but like, I think the remaster of Death Magnetic sounds fine. I think Hardwired sounds good. I still don't understand when we did that, when everybody was saying like, it still has its problems with production. Like, I don't know.
I do not think Death Magnetic sounds very good.
Magnetic?
Yeah, but everyone was saying we needed to listen to like this version or whatever. I'm like, no.
I mean,
we're listening to the official. No, the original one's terrible.
The original one's trash.
But we listened to the official Metallica released iTunes version, which is like the official. And I do not think that album sounds very good. I think it sounds tinny and high frequency and like and muddy, kind of in the low range. And I just don't think the songs. There's not an interesting vocal part on the entire album. There's nothing you can sing along with.
I guess that's sort of interesting. What's sort of interesting on this, though, is that there's like more vocal production than there has been in.
Right.
the entire rest of their catalog.
That's very true.
There's doubles, and you can like clearly hear delays and stuff.
Yeah,
and, like,
but there is a lot of that too on Load and Reload and Black Album. So I think they considered this to be the end of that era. From what I was reading a little bit of like they said that they had done 3 serious albums and they wanted to do something different. So they were talking about Black Album, Load, and Reload. So I think in their minds they were thinking of those 3 albums as sort of like you always say, Chris, like you talk about the different eras of Metallica. Like I don't know whether they were. I'm not saying they're saying this exact thing, but it's to me it seems like they were thinking of this is maybe like the cap to that, or the moment for them to try something different and like cleanse the palate. To like move in a different direction.
Well, because if they were trying to be a metal band, they hadn't released a metal album since Justice.
Right.
So.
But the thing is, Saint Anger's not a metal album either. It's the songs are much closer to this and to Load and Reload. It's just that the production is all over the place.
I don't know.
But the songwriting is more similar to Load and Reload than it is to Death Magnetic. You know,
I'm so here for all the Saint Anger love that's happening. I love it. I'm tired of loving it alone, and now I don't have to anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I think it sounds great.
I need to give it more of a listen. That's the only one that I don't have.
There
on
are
CD.
some of the songs I have problems with, but like the faster, heavier ones. Like one of my buddies was texting me the other day because I've been telling him this, and he's a big Metallica guy. You know, grew up on it like Chris did, and you know, didn't listen to Saint Anger because it pissed him off, and then like he'll send me like a picture of his radio, or, you know, his car stereo playing.
And he's got Saint Anger in.
Yeah, and he's like, but Sweet Amber is the only one I can make it through, and I can't do that song.
Oh, that's right.
You can't?
Oh, sorry.
No, I don't like it.
That's interesting.
Sorry, not to change topics too much, but there's that Saint Banger thing that just came out.
Yeah, I was getting ready to bring that up just now.
Yeah, which I saw that. And then before you had texted to us in our group chat, Chris, and I just clicked around it, and I was like, I don't know what's different about this really, and I really was not paying attention to it at all. So is that something that the guy went and recorded re-recorded some of the music and then just used James' vocals?
Man, I would love somebody to tell me exactly how he made that album exist, because ultimately it sounds like he re-recorded or recreated in some capacity all of the instrumentation and would have had vocal stems, and then just because the structures of the songs are different, like the drum fills are occasionally different patterns, like the guitars are written differently. It's really a significantly different thing, and I don't understand how he made it work. People kept going on and on in the comments about how much better it sounds than the original, which is not true. It sounds good for whatever it took for him to actually make it exist.
And it was interesting that he I only listened to like 30 seconds of it, but he did try to kind of at least reference what it sounded like. Mm-hmm. But I thought the Stanger thing was more interesting. Like, the Stanger thing isn't like something you're going to listen to for pleasure. Right. But it was really interesting just to be able to so clearly hear those parts, you know, and be like, oh, God, that riff actually totally rips, and you just can't really understand it on the record.
Right.
The thing about Saint Banger that was so frustrating for me, because I did end up listening to most of the album, is like there's way too much like truncating of all of the songs where it's like, you're not making this better. You just think that the original's too long and you've changed it. Like so many songs where it's like you've cut part of the pre-chorus out of this, and like the way that just so much of the song structure is like, this is not being changed for the better. It's being changed just in the way that you want it to be different. And I did not like a lot of the length changes. I didn't really care for. And some other stuff in there too was kind of a bummer. I do still think it's an incredibly impressive thing that exists, but I would love to sit and tear it apart one day.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe that's something we could. I don't know.
I would like to talk to one of those guys who've done something like that, because like maybe you're just so incredibly talented and well set up that it's just not that much work for you, or like you grew up on Metallica and you knew all the songs anyway. But like God, for me to just sit down and do that, God, it would take me so long.
It had to take forever, and I don't even understand how. Like, unless
some people are like that though. Like some people just know like every song anyway. Like an album comes out,
but like
and they just
how do you get vocals? Like
the vocals are weird because on the other one, on the Stanger, you can clearly hear that it's just somebody that kind of sounds like James Hetfield or tries to sound like James Hetfield.
Right.
And this one, from what I heard at least, I think it's James Hetfield.
It sounds. I mean,
I think they just
at
pulled
no
the
point did I think this is a
vocals
sound alike or something else.
Yeah,
like,
it is James'
These are
vocal
vocal
tracks.
stems, and I don't know how they got this.
But people, I don't know, people will do that. Did you ever watch that Rick Beato? Do you guys either watch Rick Beato? I know Patrick wouldn't.
Yes, no, I do.
Really? You have?
He does those videos where he listens to the top 10 songs.
Oh, he used to. Yeah. Now it's like, now because he's a big enough deal, he just does interviews with everybody. But he did a thing. He did, because one of the things that was interesting about him, or one of his older videos, is that like he would have these isolated tracks. And he kind of showed one time, like it was a bit more audio nerdy, but he showed how he did it, or kind of how he did it. It was super interesting. So maybe they just did some audio magic.
Did he take the side channels and
Yeah, there was some stuff like that, and
reverse the polarity
did a mid-side thing, and like that, and some other trickery. And
I wonder if now there's an AI thing you can just plug it into and be like, take the vocals out of this for me.
I mean, that super does exist. I've seen different versions of it. I have never tested any of them to see how good it is, because I mean, I remember back years and years ago, Adobe Audition had a remove vocals option.
I was going to say that exact thing.
Which was garbage.
Yes, but it was amazing at the time, right? It was. But it was like, yes, it was just
but I mean, yeah.
It was just a preset, and you pushed a button and it just did it. There was no settings or anything on it.
Right, it was kind of like cutting out a tumor with a chainsaw.
1992 had that. Like my mom's CD player in our living room had that. Like a karaoke mode where, it just like canceled the the center channel, right? There's probably some EQ tricks to just try to get the vocals out, and it like kind of worked.
Really cool stuff, though.
When I was 7, that's how I remember it.
Okay, let's move on to Turn the Page. Okay, so this is the song that references Nebraska, right?
Which
on
I
a
hate.
long and lonesome highway east of Omaha.
But they're in Iowa, so who even cares?
Whatever.
I'm telling you,
Oh, because it's east of Omaha.
the fact.
Can't go too far east of Omaha without you can't be east of Omaha without being in Iowa.
So it isn't about Omaha. It's not about Nebraska. It's about Iowa.
I could do like a 45-minute rant about Omaha and the attitude that it has and the people within it, and how like people in Omaha will tell you that it is a perfectly valid, reasonable, awesome place in the world, and then they will also like throw a party because a song mentioned it. Like, you can't have both of those realities.
I don't think being from Seattle, you can talk about that at all.
What do you mean?
Because
People know
Seattle
what
has
Seattle
like
is.
whole genres of music that came from it that suck. So like whole genre-defining, decade-defining genres of music that are absolute asswipes of songs and bands that were terrible.
Somebody is very defensive of Omaha right now.
Who cares?
You're talking. I mean, I'm just thinking of Alanis Morissette,
Considering how
and
good
it makes
grunge
my
is.
brain hurt so
Alanis
much.
Morissette
Oh my
is
god!
from Seattle?
No, just she was part of the grunge era though, or whatever. I don't care. Whatever.
She's not grunge either.
Whatever.
But yeah, it has always frustrated me. Like, you can never get past. The only thing I don't like about this song is that you cannot get past the Omaha thing. If you're in Omaha listening to it, somebody.
Well, that's just because
you could be in
from
your
Nebraska.
room.
Like, most people don't care about that line as much as more than any other line. You know.
But
It's just
that's
that-
what I'm saying.
It's just that we have to sit here in the Midwest and hear every other freaking song on the radio mention about how great California is and either coast. And it's just so nice when someone in their airplane looks outside every now and then and sees some of the land in between California and New York, and then decides to mention it in whatever capacity they decide to mention it.
No, I know why this happens.
Right, that's a nice
I lived
thing.
there for 25 years.
I know,
I promise.
Right, that's why you care about it at all. Most people don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It has always, even when I lived there, it was so frustrating when somebody would just, oh my God, like, they would love a thing because it mentioned Omaha. And it's like, people are killing me. This
Such
is
a
so
rarity.
stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, yes. Let's listen to that song with that line in it.
Yes.
In 3, 2, sorry, hold on. Let me restart again. That's how you start. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh wait, hold on. The guys in the band are like, ugh. That's not how you start a song, dumbass. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Wrong song. This one. Okay.
That said, I do like this song a lot.
Yeah, and it's got like a westerny feel to it. I haven't heard this for many years, but I'm very excited to listen to this.
On a long
And I will say too, hearing this version first and then finding out later that it's a cover, I definitely remember a moment where I thought Metallica was way cooler than how do I explain this? Like in my head, knowing this was Metallica, I was like, oh, Metallica's pretty awesome. And then I heard the original version of the song, and I'm like, oh, Metallica's less awesome. Because they didn't write that, and it's a cover that's not too different from the original song.
I do think that some Bob Seger songs really rip. I do not think that the original version of this song is that great. Night Moves, you can't Night Moves, but Turn the Page, I don't really care about. I think this is considerably better. I think James's voice sounds great on this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's bringing that same energy from Unforgiven too.
Yes.
Like this is, we haven't listened to the whole record yet, but I mean, so far, and I've heard this song a million times, like this fits James' voice very well. Like,
yeah. The guitar parts are so cool. The high.
I don't hate saxophone the way that Patrick does, but I am glad that it's a guitar playing that line and not the saxophone.
Yeah, I love a saxophone, and I'm with you.
See, I love how he brings some of the grittiness into his voice here.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's like very ethereal. That guitar on the side it lends like a creepiness almost to the song. Like an Old West atmosphere, you know?
Yeah. The drums sound better. The hi-hat's not annoying.
Oh, it sounds so much better.
And I think the snare is better in this than it was at least in the last song.
I wonder if it's because it's a single.
Yeah, I mean,
they know that? Probably.
They knew they were going to make money with this one.
I mean, the original is huge. I think that you're right about that.
Not a lot of vocal overdubbing in this song at all so far.
Yeah, and it actually sounds like they kind of gave a crap about recording his vocal decently.
But this is a more serious song, too. You know, it lends itself to being treated a little bit more with respect. Not that the other ones don't, but there's like a funness to the other songs so far on the album that can be a little bit more loose in terms of the performance.
Yeah.
Now, at this point in the other song, it goes down low, right? When Bob Seger sings "Out There in the Spotlight, You're a Million Miles Away," it's like the low part of the song, right?
Oh, I think so.
It's like the slow bridge part. So that's kind of cool they chose to do this, if I'm remembering correctly. And I kind of like that version. Oh, he does it here. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I just remember thinking this song was so cool and just really loving it when I was like in high school. It made me feel the way I felt when I found out that I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett was basically an exact note-for-note cover of an Arrows song from like 5 years before.
Of a who song?
Of the Arrows. They sing a song called I Love Rock and Roll, and it sounds basically identical, except it's more 60s sounding and less 80s.
Yeah.
And like, I was just like, wow, so disappointed. Which is so stupid. Like, tell me in the comments what kind of psychology that is, because like, I don't really get it. But it's how I feel about stuff like this.
Dumb kind.
I agree, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's still a great song. Why think less of Metallica? Because whatever. Like, I know it's stupid.
This whole record isn't like compressed to within an inch of its life.
No, it's not.
I gotta say, I'm kind of missing it. I could use it for like another few dB of reduction. I really could. I was mastering something today and like listening to references. And like,
were you listening to that Overkill record?
I was.
Yeah, I bet you were.
That's like my #1 reference track now. Do I get sad when I switch it from mine to the Overkill record? No? Okay, I did a really good job.
If you're wondering what we're referencing, listen to Chris's musical taste video.
Yeah.
This is great, though.
It is.
You know, This might even be like James' best vocal performance
It is very.
on any song that's in their catalog. I just feel like on all the songs we've heard so far, it's almost like they're letting themselves do things that they wouldn't normally do because of their cover songs, right? Like, they wouldn't normally build a song like this, and he wouldn't normally repeat the same line a bunch of times like this. Like, it's such an anthem-y rock and roll type thing, and I don't feel like they would really do that as much. You know,
I don't
he
think
would
it's
rather
about-
sit back and noodle on the guitar than, you know, try to focus on the vocals as the song is winding down or whatever. Like, I don't know.
I don't think it's as much about letting themselves do a thing as much as it's just different people write songs in different ways, and that's the point of a cover.
But they chose to do that song. You know what I mean? So, like, now I'm not saying that this is like, but it could almost be thought of as like this is an outlet for them to do this type of a thing. Like, it's okay that they do this here because it was done in the song before. So, like, it's okay for Metallica to be somewhat more simplified and less technical or whatever.
I don't think it's permissive in its existence, though. I don't think it has anything to do with it being okay or not okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just like their default style of writing songs is different from the way that this song is written. And so they basically put themselves on rails to go down tracks they would not normally go down just because that's not the way that their train rolls, you know?
Here is my hot take about why I think that this happened, this whole record.
Okay.
I think that they probably liked this song or something, and like one of them was listening to it, probably James, and like, boy, you could really just like kind of metal this thing up a little bit, right? And so they started doing it, right, like during sound check or whatever. And they're like, we can probably make a crap load of money if we record this. Oh yeah, we know a bunch of other, and like, why would we do one when we can just like do a whole bunch of them?
Yeah.
And then we'll sell the record too. So the reason I bring this up is because everybody's talking about this, well, whatever, 2 months ago, or 6 months ago, but that Tracy Chapman song that Luke Combs did, right? That was like such a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know what that is. You referenced it in something else. And
How do you not
I
know
saw
what
that.
is?
I saw that.
I haven't listened to
was
the
it
radio
at the
in like 2
Grammys. They
years.
did that together.
Yeah, okay. And so that's the big story that's more recently now is that they did it. And that song is good. The original version of it's good. The Luke Combs version, we listened. I might have done this on channel. I don't care. I'm
No,
doing
that's
it.
fine. I wanna
it-
know.
I'm doing
Explain
it
to
again.
me.
So we
Sounds new
like
to me.
whatever. I listened to that intentionally, the Luke Combs version of Fast Car, and there are some really strange, like I would argue, incorrect mix things that went on, and I think it's because they did it in a hurry, and I think that what they did is that like dude needed to get a song on the radio either to support his tour or he was between albums, kind of like Metallica, and had a day off, ripped this song out, and then like kind of became a hit. But like, yeah, there's some really it's really weird.
I was gonna say, I feel like a covers album when you're a band at the level of Metallica or anybody else, where it's like anything that you do, you know, is gonna end up in the news somewhere, and you have the talent and resources to make any song that you want. Like making a covers album is a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, it's fast and easy, and like, and this, I mean, like you were saying, like a couple of these songs.
You can't keep doing it.
No.
If you need to fill a space, you get one.
Yeah, and they're probably about due for another one.
Do you think there was any aspect of this that was like they were kind of tired of people crapping on them for not being a metal band anymore, and so they were like, we're going to just do a whole album of other people's non-metal songs?
No, I don't think so. Because I feel like that they had already been hearing that people think they're not a metal band anymore for at least almost 10
They
years.
decided
And-
not to be a metal band. I don't think
Right.
it was like.
I know that, but like we've.
But I'm saying like they are 10 years. I mean, think about 2014, man. And it's like, if you're hearing the same thing from a bunch of people for that long, like you've grown good and numb to it, and you're not interested in, you don't care about what people are saying about you anymore at that point.
And some of this stuff, like the Diamond Head stuff and the Misfits stuff, like they played those songs, or that was a big part. And when you're a kid, and this is like these guys' first band, basically. I mean, James and Lars.
Yeah.
It's basically their first band, and yes, you do that, as they defensively point out in the liner notes of this record. But
Right, you start out playing other people's songs. That's how you become a band.
Yeah, right.
That's how you do anything.
It is.
Just find somebody who does it the way that you like and copy it till you know how to do it yourself.
And all the songs on here, I assume, are from before they even became a band.
I don't think
right?
that. I don't think they were probably playing Bob Seger back in 1981.
Right, but the song was out before that, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that. Was it?
Yeah. I got it.
Well, anyway, my question was going to be: is all the music on this? Was it out before they became a band? So it could have potentially been, whether they played it or not as a band,
Wow,
could have
73.
potentially been
Absolutely.
an influence.
No,
for
it
them.
totally was, and like
Yeah.
the Misfits were a big influence.
And I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And I like the idea of bands doing this. It's just I don't know. Like I said, to me, I just think of this as less than like a regular Metallica album.
Oh, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong in that.
I don't know. But
I
there's
agree
a-
with you, but I also agree. I understand your confusion about like why,
Yeah,
because I agree with that.
Because
But
I
it's
also
what for?
Yeah, I also like the idea of them having fun. Like I like it when you can listen to something and it sounds like a band is having fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've heard that in this.
It's because
Maybe
you know
not
what it is?
that
It's-
song. That song sounded like more intention behind it, whereas the first three songs just sounded like there was like a thrown togetherness about it that made it feel fun to
God,
me.
we're only on song 4.
Yeah.
Crikey
Well, there's
sakes
only
alive.
11.
There's now. I was going to say
This
something,
album's
but I
less than
realized
70 minutes long, so we're good.
It made more sense to be from a perspective of not knowing any of the songs, because I was going to say, and with a covers album, especially if you know the songs, you're only getting half a song. Like you're getting a new version of something you already know instead of a new version of something you don't know. So you got two halves. Do
That's-
I know it? Is it new?
And that's, you know what's a good point about that too, is if you already know the song, you can be disappointed in it. Listening to the cover.
Right.
Right? You can't really be disappointed in a cover of a song you've never heard before. It's just this the
Right,
first
like-
time you're hearing it, so it's like whatever it is whatever it is. But if you hear a song and you love it, and then you hear a band do a cover of it and it's not a good cover, then you've been smashed twice. A band you like disappointed you because they did a bad version of a song that you did like already.
Yeah, and what
You
if
know?
it's a cover of a song you hate? Like if
That to me
Metallica
would be
doesn't
more
cover-
interesting, you know?
If Metallica covered Center Field by John Fogerty, I don't give a shit. That song will never be good. That is the worst
Wrong.
song on earth.
Wrong.
No.
Or if they
That
decided
song
to,
is bad.
or if they decided to cover a
It's
Kesha
a baseball
song.
song. But do what?
If they decided to cover a Kesha song or any Katy Perry, can you imagine Metallica
Kesha's
going,
good.
"Baby, you're a firework"?
I would love to hear Metallica cover Kesha.
And you can like hear all of that now on the
Use an
internet
AI.
because well, the,
You can hear Cartman sing every song that's ever been written. The other
but
day,
the James Hetfield one is at least very popular on my Instagram feed. Like the internet is really great. The YouTube's whatever. We like a lot of you.
It's
Team
great.
Wolfie Soupy. You can keep calling Patrick the bald guy.
bald guy, yes.
We love that.
Make sure I don't
yes.
look down too far. You
Even
really
when the
see how bad
cancer's
it
gone,
is.
Patrick's still going to be bald.
Or the cancer might make me even more balder, and then you guys will really feel like crap.
You'll get a wig though, right?
Okay, track
Onward.
5.
It's a Misfits song.
Die, Die, My Darling. The only way I know this is because I actually did a project with a band once that did like bluegrass covers of a bunch of Misfits songs.
Ooh.
And I don't know any Misfits songs, the original versions. At least I don't think so, except for maybe the few that were on Tony Hawk soundtracks. I think there were a couple Misfits songs on like Tony Hawk video game soundtracks. So I think I would know some of those. And the only version of this song that I've ever heard of is sort of like a bluegrassy banjo-y type thing. So I know
do like this song.
Yeah, so I know the song is like Die, 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 My Darling. That's like all
Pretty
I know.
good.
So like I'm anxious to hear what this is with Metallica. Like I assume it's going to be a faster song. Though as I look at the track listing, I'm like, dear God, how could you make a Misfits song 6 minutes long?
It's not 6 minutes.
Oh,
long.
wait.
It's 2 minutes.
Oh, it's 2
2:30.
minutes 30. Okay, sorry, I looked at the song above it.
That
All
would
right.
be bad for
Let's
a
just
Misfits song. to be
let's
that
just
long.
get through it then. Real quick, I've always thought the Misfits looked so cool, right? I love the like Halloween aesthetic and the like gothic-y, not gothic-y really, but like the like cool I'm sure you probably hate
I
this.
know where this is going.
Just the like commercially like because it's probably too commercial what I'm but like I love it, and then anything I've ever tried to listen to of theirs I'm just like, what is this garbage?
the songs are great.
I'm sure they are, and if I looked into them more and actually like spent time,
You don't like songs though.
I don't. I just like production.
You don't. You do. It's true.
I just want production. And when it
Yeah.
just so happens to be a good song with good production, that's when you get the money, baby. That's when you get rolling in the good stuff.
Misfits songs are good.
Okay. All right. So let's do track 5, Die, Die, My Darling, in 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Sounds like a drum machine hi hat.
Do you think that was James that did that? Yeah.
Yeah. He's the only one allowed to have a
That was
microphone.
like a gang vocal.
You know, even I have heard this one before, but
The guitar on the right is doing a very interesting thing. Or, not right now, but like
the
Yeah.
that's from the original. But isn't it like is it a piano? I think it is a piano.
In the original?
I think so. I would have listened to a whole album of Metallica doing Misfits covers. This sounds way better than the Misfits.
But that wasn't what
Yeah.
the Misfits were about, right? They were never about production.
No, I don't know.
And what year did the Misfits write this? Like, what year were they even from? When were the Misfits popular?
This says that this song, it looks like this was on an album in 1984, but there was Misfit stuff before that. Like, I think late 70s.
I like the... Do you think that's just James overdubbing himself a bunch, or is that everyone in the band?
We're talking, I'm not listening.
That's got to be
Is that-
just him over and over.
I thought it'd be little Metallica riffage in there to...
Beep, beep, beep,
Yes.
beep. Someone left their alarm going in the back.
If I was gonna recreate that gang vocal sound, I would get 4 guys around a vocal mic.
Do you... That's not
Yep.
how they did it, you don't think?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I bet
I think
it's
it's
all
just
James.
James.
It's so contained. Like, it's not wide at all when they do it.
I will say, I love this. That was great.
Yeah, this is great.
That was great.
Really? I don't know.
I think all of the Misfits songs that I've heard, which again are not in context of actual Misfits doing them, are all really cool songs, but they're like half songs. They're like a verse and a chorus, and that's it. And then they just do those parts once each or twice each, and then the song's over, from what I know.
That's punk.
Well, right. That's, yeah.
There's a lot of music that's like that.
There is, and especially nowadays, which I hate. I can't stand that. Please put a bridge in your song.
There's a lot of like classic country music that's
I like the.
that.
I'm sure there's a lot
I
of
like
Beatles
right
songs.
at the end of that song.
I just listened to a whole Beach Boys album that is mostly like that, except we listened to Pet Sounds. Every single song, egregious fade out. Egregious. The third chorus starts and just shits itself out. It's absolutely utter trash, which I had to get over to be able to appreciate
shame.
the album, which I did. And I didn't even bring the board out or nothing while we were listening to it. It'll be coming out on the
Fade
channel.
outs
Cody
are
Media.
crappy.
They're terrible. Whatever.
They
We
are.
don't need to get into that
They're
because
crap.
Metallica doesn't do that very often. So we don't, except for on stupid ass Ride the Lightning. I think Ride the Lightning would be one of my favorite Metallica albums if half the songs didn't fade out. But anyway, whatever. Whatever. I thought that was great. You know, it was fast, but it didn't feel like metal Metallica thrash fast. You know, and it was kind of like a fun, like, you know, there's like a bounciness to it, which was nice. The production was
agree.
just like the production has been on the album so far. So, like you said, it fit with
Or
what was
better.
happening. Oh, you're right, it fit with what was happening. I love the vocal overdubs.
I kind of liked that there weren't really 2 guitar parts. Yeah, the little beepy guy was over on the Kirk side and stuff. But because they were just like this songs, like Misfit songs are very simple. And they're great because they're short. Say what you got to say
Sure.
and get out.
Whatever.
Anyway, you
No,
got a
no, that's
melody.
fine.
You don't have to bore people with it.
Yeah.
But like because the guitars were
that song.
kind of sound the same and they're both like got the same level of distortion on and they're kind of playing the same thing. Like I think that actually sounds better than a lot of the stuff. Like on Turn the Page, right? Like there's Wheedly stuff happening over on Kirk's side the whole
Right.
time, and it's just
Right. I think, yes. And I think, so Chris, did you say, you said you thought that the gang vocal part was James just overdubbing himself multiple times?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
It was, I couldn't tell which way I thought it was because I do think it would sound like more people were doing it if it was multiple takes, because the logical way of doing that is, right, you get as many people as you can in there within reason, so probably like the other members of the band, and you all stand around the microphone and you do it at least once, and then you do it at least one more time, and then you pan those slightly wide, add reverb to it to make it sound bigger, right? Metallica has only ever used that effect on like one song on one of their earlier albums. I can't remember what it was, but the gang vocally shout thing that Children of Bodom does all the time, or did all the time. And so which I've seen documentary stuff of Children of Bodom. All the dudes in the band get around the microphone, they shout it, they do multiple takes, then the person mixing it can, and then the beautiful thing about that is if you do the whole song, well, I guess it depends how you're recording, but like if you do the whole song and the chorus happens 3 times, then you have 3 takes of the guys shouting that you can do the first take of, then spread them wide, then cut them out and paste them over the second one, and then do the exact same thing. And by the end of the song, you have 8 tracks of overdubs instead of just 2, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's like a super common way. And then you can take that whole thing and just copy and paste it over both of them, and you got 8 overdubs on the whole thing. And you went from having 4 people doing background vocals to 64 people doing background vocals, or whatever. 8 times 4 is 32, or whatever number that is. I don't know. I'm dumb.
I wasn't listening too close, but I thought I heard real room in there, and that wouldn't happen with one person.
I don't know, man. Every single time that I've ever seen, like, when Metallica, like, I've watched their live stuff, and they'll have anything with like different vocals where it would require another person. It always is live, and it always sounds different than the album version, which, as far as I've been able to tell, has always only ever been James double track.
Well, yeah, but like for harmonies and whatever ad libs,
right? But I just don't know
words.
Yeah,
you do use the same guy.
I want to point out that so far on this album, I've noticed multiple times James doing something vocally that I don't think he does that often on the other Metallica stuff we've heard. And that is literally just doing a double of his take, where they have both, like James doing like the exact same thing, but slightly different. So it sounds like 2 people panned right both in the middle. And that happened a lot in this song. And it happened a lot in, I think it was It's Electric. And maybe even some in Sabbra, Cadabra as well. But like I like that. I don't necessarily care for it as much. I think a lot of bands use that as a crutch to hide a bad vocal take. You just throw another vocal take of the person doing the same thing over the top of it. And a lot of bands will rely on that technique for the lead vocals of their first album.
You don't have to just sit here and insult me while I'm like sitting right next to you.
I'm literally not talking about you.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, I'm not talking about you at all.
So I tried to do that. I recorded vocals last night for a song. And I know I'm very proud of how good I can do the same thing, exactly the same over and over. I've said that before on the channel.
I just told Chris that when I was editing the I Disappear video. I literally said that.
They were too close.
Mind blowing.
I couldn't do it because I could only do it the one way.
Because your voice like phases into the other voice.
It was too phasey.
How does that happen?
It sounded like freaking Taylor Swift.
I think there's a phasing in track 2. It's Electric with the long electric thing. I think there's a phasing in there.
No, because there was one part where they brought in a delay. I think it was on that song where they did the sweet Jack Antonoff thing that I love so much. God, Jack Antonoff is the best producer ever. But where the delay level is like really close to the same. I'm trying to look at my video and not think about where my hands actually are, and it's backwards. Where the delay is really close to the same level.
The volume of the lead vocal.
And so it makes it sound phasey. But also, they're just doubles. Doubles are sweet.
I think they can be, but like I said, a lot of people use them as a crutch. But also so many albums that I've heard over the years that are like albums that I truly love. You listen to them and you're like, wow, every single vocal is doubled, like throughout the whole album. And one thing that I want to point out with that is it is not the easiest thing to do, because if you get your timing off just a little bit, the transients of plosives.
Now you just get that thing though. You just get vocal line and you just hit the button.
But they didn't have that back in 1998. And Chris and I actually talked about that a lot in something. Actually, I talked about it a lot in the Beach Boys reaction that I did with Cody.
That was a huge deal.
Because their voices were so incredibly in time, and it's like 5 dudes plus Brian Wilson doing it like 10 times.
That's why that record is such a big deal.
And and because they were like, well, we want to have a saxophone for 2 seconds in this one part, and so we'll just go ahead and do it. You know,
Yeah, but
like we wanted
everybody
just
else
like
had it.
literally anything that they wanted on that album, they could do it. And even though it's disappointing because it was pretty much all just pan to the middle, and yes, we did listen to the stereo versions, but it still is all pretty much just contained in a can that sounds like it's 10 feet away from you the entire time. But, which, man, if you could put that album into some sort of an AI and be like, remake all of this.
Somebody's done it.
In like amazing, clear stereo, that would be really great. And maybe some of those songs where Brian Wilson probably did re-record a lot of those songs on his own solo stuff for later on in his career, because he's another artist that would do what we were talking about earlier with re-recording stuff. Like there's many different versions of Barbara Ann, for example, which is my favorite Beach Boys song. Like there are different versions of that are studio recordings from over the years, like probably as 80s version, 60s version, 90s version, whatever, because they just paid him a bunch of money to go in the studio and record a different version for this, whatever. So anyway, so James is really good at doing stuff like that. I didn't notice any like weird timing issues with this stuff, other than the fact that you could tell it was 2 vocal takes. And sometimes when the artists are recording that, they don't even know that that's going to be the final mix, like that both takes are going to be in there. But the mixing engineer will just have both of them in there, and they'll be like, hey, this sounds good and it works. And they'll play it for the band, and they're like, yeah, that sounds good. So we'll keep that in there. Whereas
It's really upsetting to some people, though.
I have been known to be upset at that, because to me, like I said when we started this conversation, it can be used as a crutch.
It is a crutch.
And it should never be done in a intimate setting of a song. Ever.
No.
Your vocal should never be doubled if you have just an acoustic guitar and it's a slow ballad. Never should your vocals be doubled. No. Unless you're doing harmony vocals or something else, which is a overdub in a different part. But you should never double like ballad, slow, intimate, meaningful sounding lyrics. Any other type of lyric I think it's okay for to do every now and then, but it's just you're leaning in on it like a crutch if you're doing it everywhere, and you should never do it in a
So there's a Fast News Direct song. I forget which one it is, and I think it's what made it.
You only
on
have
the
like
internet.
6 songs.
We have way more songs than that. We only have like 6 songs that are.
I subscribed to one of your things the other day, and I was like, how could I not have been subscribed to this? Or I was looking at your Bandcamp. I was like, man, they have a lot of songs out. Dang.
Yeah, we have more coming out. But I did.
Links
I
to
did
that
that.
in his musical taste video.
Thank you. I have to do that on Metallica videos because these are the only ones anyone watches. But I absolutely had to do that. I couldn't sing the first line of the song worth of crap, and I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Right.
And I just doubled it.
Stack it.
But it's like a legitimate thing that can help people. Like, to me, when I think about that, I think about this. We don't need to go into this very long, but when I was working with this Christian rock duo, Christian acoustic duo, and like they had never heard, yes, they had never heard their vocals doubled before.
Can you bleep that?
No, that's all right. They released an album last year that I've been listening to recently. It's actually pretty good. But anyway, when the singer heard his voice for the first time doubled, he loved it so much because he was very self-conscious about his voice. And when you double yourself, you're hiding a lot of things. And so he wanted to have all of his vocals throughout the whole album like that. And I'm like, no, dude, your style does not fit this. Some of the stuff, sure, I'll allow it. But anything, when you're the lead vocal in something and it's a verse, more importantly, and everything else is coming down, you shouldn't have multiple takes. It should be one lead vocal, specifically panned to the middle and not spread wide like dumbass Justin Furstenfeld and Blue October's 2 most recent albums.
Man, you lost it.
But their most recent album, they didn't do that. So whatever, I'll give it back to them.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, whatever. We don't need to talk about it. Let's move on.
October's vocals always sounded stupid.
No, they don't.
I thought that was the appeal, that the vocals sounded dumb.
No, Justin Furstenfeld is amazing, and really great. So okay, now we're to Loverman, which just if you would have told me we were going to get a Metallica song called Loverman,
It's not a Metallica song.
I know it's not. But like,
this is. Go ahead and This will be a long.
This
7 minutes.
album is less of a Metallica album than Lulu. I am going to go on the record and say that. If you have to decide what albums are more Metallica, which ones are more Metallica?
Lulu or
Lulu is more. Lulu is an original work that Metallica
I was going to
had
say,
creative
I
input
want
on.
everything in the world to disagree with you, and I can't.
Okay, so this song.
You heard it here first. That's it.
Okay, so this song is almost 8 minutes long. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is track 6. In 3, 2, 1.
Spermless like a girl.
I do not like this song.
Okay.
I don't hate it, but it's like it is almost.
Ooh,
8 minutes.
I like that already.
What is Nick Cave?
Nick Cave and the Bad
Old man.
Seeds.
I've heard that name a lot, but I have no idea what
He
it
just
is.
does like blues rock stuff. He's on several times on the True Blood soundtracks. He co-wrote a lot of
For
stuff.
the most part, I actually do like this song, but there's one section specifically I think is dumb.
This album is definitely less compressed because I want to turn this up a lot.
I know.
You know what I mean? I love this so far. I love.
I think that's James doing that.
Yeah. Tough to
Parsing's
say.
cool.
And it's shouting your name. He's singing a little more nasally here.
Did that on the Misfit song too.
I bet they had fun doing this, and I love that about this.
Every
sound?
single time I want to hear that quiet vocal, you talk.
This sounds like Metallica.
Yes.
With that Godsmack riff on the right side.
Yes.
They're the only band to ever use wah. Remember?
They invented it.
Embedded, yeah, Godsmack, WAP, TM.
They did it way before Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix was way into Godsmack. I love it every time that James Hetfield says baby.
Probably
Patrick's
makes a
never
lot
gonna
of
get
people
this.
really excited in certain ways, you know?
I can't imagine who.
Who originally sang this?
Nick Cave.
Oh, Nick Cave, okay.
The bass tone
Lava
rips
Man.
like kind of on this whole record.
Yeah.
You know, that's something people pointed out to me, that the bass sounds really good on a lot of this.
It's not the best metal bass tone ever, but it might be the best Metallica bass tone. If you told me Metallica wrote this part of the song, I would believe you.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to do now for 5 minutes of this song?
I love that.
The bass thing? Yeah.
was
Bass
cool.
thing, yeah. Very Newstead, I think.
Very Cliff Burton-y of Jason.
I think that's James.
Am I allowed to evoke Cliff Burton? Or will people come after me?
Folk Burton.
I spoke about him in a positive way, and I didn't even bring up anesthesia pulling teeth.
I'm pretty sure that's James doing those vocals.
That's a low note.
That's so fucking irritating every time.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's James.
Yeah.
This is awesome, though, by the way.
I do like this, yeah.
Lava Man.
Lava Man.
That's exactly what he's saying is Lava Man!
My new favorite Mega Man enemy theme song.
Lava Man, right?
Lava Man, yeah.
Lava Man!
He's doing a lot of like vocal riffing, just like repeating things and like stylizing it, you know? That's not a very Metallica thing at all.
That's James Hetfield, baby.
You know, old Ronnie, he had a problem with his whatever. This is Ronnie rearing his head again.
I really love that Ronnie song, though. It's badass. Chorus. I'm gonna write a song like this someday. Baby.
I'll pay you to not speak during these parts.
How many words rhyme with man?
Definitely man.
I got the plan. Caught by the Sailor Man. I love this whole song.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Bell, cymbal, right? We don't get that a ton in Metallica songs. That guitar note.
Think is asleep, take a look at his eye.
Love that guitar there. That's great.
The guitar is awesome.
Be his bride.
Very subtle.
Yeah, there's a devil laying by your side.
Little wood block.
Haha.
They got me.
Why did the hi-hat sound stupid on the first two songs? Boy, hold on, get another 2 minutes.
I actually like legit love this. I love the quiet
Good.
parts. I love the big parts.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I would have thought the talking would have set you off.
Well, I feel like they established through all the quiet parts that is kind of like they're bordering on talking. So when there's the actual talking part come in, I'm kind of like a little bit used to it already.
Okay.
I would like a long guitar solo now, or at least a good guitar solo, right in the middle. Ooh. Listen how far away that hi-hat sounds now. I mean, it's like whatever cymbal that is, crash cymbal
All
or
the way.
some
Yeah.
China or
Slash.
something. Or is he just playing it quiet?
He's just playing the hi-hat quiet, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's I think there's a China or a splash in there happening right now.
We're notoriously good for identifying symbols on this podcast.
That's definitely a Zildjian or whatever. Zildjian. My favorite brand. Okay, they're gonna just noodle. Noodle till it's done. I legit love this. That's my favorite
That's
song.
great.
That's very Patrick.
I'm glad. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I really
liked it
do.
too.
Like, yeah, that was great. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite song on the album so far.
Wow. Big surprise, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that. The quiet parts were really cool, and you're right, I was talking over too much of it, but I mean, we got to talk over the song a little bit, otherwise we're just listening.
Well, yeah, I know. It was
It's
just,
also
but it
on
was just
brand.
every time, because the quiet parts are where the interesting stuff happens, right? 'Cause
Yes.
There's all kinds of little things going on, and every
Yeah.
time I found myself trying to figure out what something was, it was you. It's like, I will come over there and burn your house to the ground.
Just let me hear one. Yeah, I don't know. I like that a lot. I feel like we can
Great.
just move right on though to Merciful Fate, because this is the like 25
We
minutes.
talked
Merciful
plenty
Fate.
during the song.
We did talk during it, and they gave us a lot of downtime to talk. So we
love
never
this
heard the
song.
chorus technically, but okay. So this
That's
is
fine.
Merciful Fate, which I'm aware of as being like a pretty important kind of heavy-ish band. I don't know. Whether they heavy metal band?
I guess like proto metal.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, okay.
What does
So-
that mean?
Like before metal was like metal, there were some bands.
Okay.
Like yeah, right. Merciful Fate was from like forever ago. When did the songs that 82 and 83? So that would have been about as early as you can be, while still being King Diamond, who Patrick absolutely could not listen to, was the singer of Merciful Fate.
Oh, okay,
songwriter.
okay. King Diamond
That's why
was
you
the
said
singer.
King Diamond instead of Diamond Head.
Yeah,
I did read that. Yes,
I think that Patrick could listen to about half a second of
I've
King
heard
Diamond
some of King
and,
Diamond
like,
before because he has some songs on it, or his solo stuff. Just as King Diamond, I've had some of his songs on some soundtracks that I've had. So this song, the
Let
medley.
me be right back real quick. One
Okay.
sec.
Read it.
Well, okay, I want to Chris to hear this, but that's all right. So Merciful Fate is a medley of the songs Satan's Fall, Curse of the Pharaohs, A Corpse Without Soul, Into the Coven, and Evil. And so this is where I was thinking that we were going to get some of the more fast metal stuff, but now that you said it's from 1980 whatever, I think maybe probably not. I could be wrong, because I know there was like fastery hair metal stuff probably at the time, unless that was more late 80s, early 90s.
It was late 80s, early 90s. But there was like
some faster stuff. I don't know.
Punk music had existed. There was a Slayer record that came out in 82 or 83, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Metallica's first album was in 83.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I think. So, and I like that album a lot more than... Well, not a lot, but I do like that album more than Ride and maybe more than Master. I need to listen to Master a couple more times.
The first one, huh?
Kill 'Em All, yeah. I don't know. I've only heard the remaster.
I've got two of my very good friends that say the same thing, and I am just not on that.
I just think Whiplash is like such a good song, like legit. Maybe it comes down to the fun thing. Like, I feel like that album has like this fun atmosphere to it that they were much more serious on Ride the Lightning and Master and everything else since then, other than this. And maybe some of, Load and Reload, because there's the country song they did, and there's Ronnie, and there's some of those other songs.
There's several songs on Kill 'Em All that are about being a band. And it's like, usually when that is the case, that's more fun is being had than not.
Yeah. And I really like some of the songs on that album. Like I wore my Sting shirt today in memoriam of Sting's career, which ended on Saturday at the pay-per-view.
Yes, I heard that.
And so
he'll come back just like Slayer.
He won't ever wrestle. Which Sting, by the way, from Nebraska, from Omaha.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Steve Borden, yes, he owns some stock in Nebraska, University of Nebraska, all this cool stuff.
Neat.
Really
How old
great.
Is he? Like 100?
He's like 60 something, I think. Hey Google, how
Amazing
old?
that he wrestled that.
Yeah.
Hey
Google, how old is Sting the wrestler? He's probably like 57, 58.
Steve Borden is 64 years old.
64. That is pretty impressive.
That's something.
Yeah, and he's been doing really whatever. It doesn't matter. We don't need to get Sting. But his song in WCW for a few years was "Seek and Destroy."
Nice.
And so at this it's this AEW pay-per-view over the weekend where it was his last match, and they'd been building for it for like a year or the last 5 months or so. They've been saying this is going to be his last match. It was against some truly bad guys who are like really, really bad guys. And so it was really like built up as this big like thing. And his partner did this disgusting dive off this ladder into these chairs and through this glass, and immediately his back was like shredded. It was really stupid. But it was really entertaining. And then Sting was left by himself to whatever, come back. It was really great. But when he came out, he had his two sons who are not wrestlers, but they were both collegiate athletes, which, when you have a 65-year-old dude, his sons are like in their late 30s, 40s. And so they came out and they were not wrestlers, but they were each dressed as like a different era of Sting.
That's
so
cool.
So they had the blonde-haired Sting, the Surfer Sting they call him, and then the red and black NWO Sting, and then Sting himself came out the way he has been dressed, which is like the Crow version of Sting, and he came out to Metallica's "Seek and Destroy."
The red and black Sting is the only one I remember.
Yeah, and that would have been right around this time, which is cool, and that was when he was using. Well, but for a while Sting was connected to Metallica because they were using Seek and Destroy, and so AEW paid the money to get Seek and Destroy played this past weekend to have him come out to that song, which is a really cool thing that they did. That was something that was a surprise. No one expected that. So.
Oh, cool. I had a thought a minute ago.
Which, by the way, talk about transients not lining up that song horrifically bad. But anyway, what were you going to say?
While I was upstairs, I thought my track record for predicting which Metallica songs you will like and not like is in the toilet. It is like
it's like 5%. That last one was like the most Patrick-y song ever.
I thought he was going to hate how much talking there was.
Right,
you know
talking.
how we can't stand talking in a song.
I do really despise that usually, but if it's like a main focal point of the song, I guess I get over it. And I just like the subtlety of everything that was happening there and the old westy feel of it, so I think it kind of made up for that. And then when the chorus came in, it was big and obviously a chorus,
right?
Which is something I like.
It makes sense, but like
differentiating the sections of the song.
Thinking back to all the different albums where I've been like, you're going to hate this song, and the opposite was true.
I know. Like I've said, I mentioned Ronnie multiple times, and it's like one of my favorite Metallica songs.
I thought for sure you were going to hate that song.
Right, and I should by all accounts, but it's such a cool chorus. The riff.
I like it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to Merciful Fate. This is the big what I said when you were gone, Chris, was this is a cover of the Merciful Fate songs "Satan's Fall," "Curse of the Pharaohs," "A Corpse Without a Soul," "Corpse Without Soul," "Into the Coven," and "Evil." So 5 songs here.
Nice.
So okay,
I love this song so much.
okay, I'm excited to see what it is. I have no idea what this is. So this is track 7 in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Are you familiar with Merciful Fate songs? Really?
No, not really.
Have you heard this before?
I think so. Now that I've heard that riff.
Oh.
Little double bass in there, kind of. Okay, so is that the first part? Now we're moving into a different song?
Sounds like it.
Sounds like a different riff. This is maybe one of the first medleys I've ever heard ever. Because if I saw medley on something, I would skip it right past it.
Right.
Because who has time for that? So we'll see what this ends up being. Why not just make 5 separate songs, dummies? Cool riffs. Ooh. Oh, that's cool. I like the Galaby sounding riffs.
Yep.
Boy, lead guitar like kind of in the center with 2 rhythm guitars going on. Like,
Maybe that was a Merciful Fate thing.
these guitars sound good.
Yeah, they do.
Everything sounds good. Vocal overdubs there, doubles there. Harmony vocals.
I mean,
there.
the double effect there is super cool. I love the double vocal.
Well, and something that's also super common is to have a double that at the end of a phrase goes into a harmony instead of just being a double.
Ah.
You know. Ooh,
Hi-hat
that's
sounds
interesting.
great. Snare sounds great.
Interesting. It's cool. Very different kind of a thing for Metallica. I feel. Do you think they changed the keys of a lot of these songs?
I don't know.
That was very Kirk Hammett.
Metal songs are kind of hard to do that on.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of weird
To change the keys. Because if you change it just a little bit, it can start to sound really wimpy really fast.
Well, oh, not
If you
because
go
of that,
up.
but because like
It just doesn't sound like the song.
the open strings are usually a pretty important part of metal songs, and it's hard to change the key unless you change the
That's-
tuning.
Or you use that
point.
Yeah, no.
You
The
don't
little
think,
cheater finger bar-y thing.
yeah.
Yes.
Hold on, let me think of what it's called. Do not tell me.
4 letters.
Hey.
Starts with a C.
You got mine over there. I'll tell you after the song's over.
This sounds great.
It does.
It took me a while to get into it, but I think like after Turn the Page, like things started to sound a little better.
And as we say every time, we would probably enjoy it more if we were listening to it without stopping between the songs. Or at least we'd get a better feel for it overall.
I love riffs like that.
Yeah.
Very Kill 'Em All style drum fill there.
It's cool. Extra vocal part off to the side.
Satan.
Ooh, that's cool. Descending riff there. That was neat.
I think one of the important pieces of this being a medley that works really well is the way that they stitched it together.
Well, I mean, it's the same every time. They just play for a little while, and then they let everything fade out, and then the new song riff starts on the left, comes in on the right, drums come in, and then the song's a new song, you know? But it's cool every time. I'm not complaining. And you're right, the production sounds really good on this. Very clean. Warm.
Yep.
Still trying to think of the name for that thing. I can't get whammy bar out of my head. But yes, a capo, son of a gun. You ruined it for me. I would have.
No, you're never going to get there.
I would have. No, I would have. It's hard for me to think of stuff when music is playing. High Priestess, and we're getting into like wizard rock here. Not rock like Harry Potter rock, but like 80s wizard rock. Where every song is about the Lord of the Rings. Like Led Zeppelin. But this is produced well. The way you said born there was a little weird. This is not easy to sing. Like, it sounds like a difficult part.
For sure, I was thinking the same thing. James Hetfield is a great singer.
You know, he is a good singer.
Maybe not like technically excellent, because people always get their panties in a wad about that, but Christ's sakes, people, we're trying to be entertaining here. Singers, not us.
Go listen to the charismatic voice if you want to hear a breakdown of something vocal.
Yeah, but she's not snotty about it.
No, I love her.
She's so cool.
Yes, I agree 100%.
I hear that a lot lately when people like talking about singers.
They're being snotty about it.
Yeah, not on YouTube, like in real life.
Oh.
Like, you know, talking about Taylor Swift or whatever. Like, well, you know, she's not actually a good singer. And like, oh my god.
I'm so torn over this song.
Why? What's there to be torn about? It's awesome.
I'll bring up my point after it's
I
done.
know, it'll be...
You know exactly what I'm going to say. Cool.
Goodbye!
recorded that and they were like, get out of the band, Jason. Never again. A couple kick hits that really stood out there. Okay, interesting. Okay, so here's what I'm going to bring up and see what you guys think, okay? In Chris Parker's musical taste video, we listened to a 17-minute long Periphery song. Called what, Chris? What was that song called?
Reptile.
Reptile, okay. And one of the things that you brought up was, here was your question. Do you remember what your question was?
No.
Is that a song? Is that a song?
Did I say that?
You did.
That sounds like something I would say.
And then you said, if you just dropped track markers at certain points, wouldn't you just have an album instead of a song?
But that is what the point of a medley is, if that's where you're going with this.
No, for sure. And my only thinking,
real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
The difference between Chris and Patrick in that particular scenario is Chris says, "Is that a song?" and Patrick says, "That's not a song."
Oh, I think it's cool to write something like, I thought that Periphery song was cool. I'm pretty sure that
No,
I said
I just
that.
mean like generally speaking.
But like, yeah, but what
That's the difference
what
between
you
the two
call,
of you.
Is what you call that a song? Well, and part of that, I guess, is because of the little that I know about like classical music, which is not much, but often when people are talking about classical music, especially people that know about classical music, when they say the word song, there's a little bit of hate in there. And it's always talking about like probably an actually like listenable piece. I'm being a jerk, but like it just because it's short and like, but anyway.
No,
yes.
I get what you mean. Like a piece of music with movements and things that repeat and come back around, and there's a lot to it.
Which is what that does.
And you're right. And if you took, and actually that's how they do make classical CDs, right? They just have the movements are a separate track. So you can go to whichever track you want to, but it's meant to be listened to from front to back in a row.
Yeah.
And so, but what I was going to say was, if you cut this up into individual tracks, I would hate it. Because it'd be too
Some of them would be
short.
40
That is
seconds.
not what I thought you were
It'd
going
be
to
too
say.
short. Every song would be worthless and lengthwise and structure-wise.
But I don't think they played the whole songs.
No, of course they didn't. They just did they did exactly what we just were talking about with the YouTube conversation. They did a verse and a chorus from everyone, and then they did a guitar solo.
Barely.
And moved on.
The first bit was 40 seconds.
Yeah, that was just a little intro thing because they liked that riff. But like, right. So what I was going to
cool.
say was I
It is
think
cool.
I like that more because they made it one thing.
Yeah, I think
it's
that
a different
the way
thing, but
that
that's
they
music you're supposed to listen to.
Right. So I don't know.
which one's not? Which
The
one's
YouTube
music?
stuff or like the Instagram videos of like when somebody
yeah.
just does like you're not supposed to like sit back and enjoy it and go on a ride. You're just supposed to like, oh, that's cool. This guy made that and it's interesting.
Right.
I think it helps them a lot that they don't present it as a medley. They just call it Merciful Fate, and it's a 11-minute song, and it's stitched together in such a way where it's like, yeah, it's got these breaks, but if you didn't know it was a medley, you wouldn't probably assume that it was based on hearing it.
And it was probably for people.
Well, and that's because we've had many years of Metallica just like switching up riffs and feelings in the middle of a long song. You know, they've done that a lot.
It fits so well with the music that they already make that you don't even notice, and it rules.
I definitely think you could tell that it was different songs put together.
I think if you weren't primed for it, and I mean, who's ever listening for a medley? Like you said, like when does that ever happen?
It doesn't happen very often. That's true.
I think it should happen more.
I
If they're going to be as good as this, I agree.
I don't
Because
now-
I mean, I think that's going back to listening to the good Metallica records.
They're Metallica medleys.
Well,
Each
but
song
they
is
kind
a-
of are, and like
Yeah.
that's Patrick hated that, and like I think
Yeah.
that's what I think that's what I like. I mean, I do like
It's-
that.
when I think
It's one of Metallica's most defining characteristics.
And I think if you want to pay tribute to a band, like, and you only have so much time to do it on an album, like, what better way to do it than take your favorite parts of all their songs and just put them together?
Well, and that's what I'm saying
Right?
about how
So,
it's
like-
stitched together. Like the fact that that's 5 songs and it's blended in a way that, you know, it's got the breaks, but they flow so well that it still feels cohesive. Like that, I feel like took a lot of specific planning of different sections and different songs, and even if they're not all on the same album, like just to pick and choose and find a way to
it doesn't
bring
look
all
like
into
they were.
something.
Yeah, and I'm
from the
sure they
wiki.
weren't.
Did
Yeah.
Which is
Metallica
super
play
cool.
that live before this record came out? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, I would wonder about that
question.
as
I
well.
bet they did.
Probably a lot of these they've been playing live for possibly even years and stuff. I don't know. Interesting to think about all that stuff.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it wouldn't be like I don't know. I was debating about whether or not I would put that on to like just enjoy listening to it, but I think I probably would because I did like all the different sections and I liked all the riffs and I liked what James was doing with his vocals, and there were like some really, like we were saying, there were some like technical vocal parts in there where he was having to like go more than just one or two notes away from the note he was just singing.
Yeah.
And he did a great job on it. Like his performance there was really great. So
I feel like the medley aspect of it would be even more blurred if you were to passively listen to this.
Oh yeah.
oh, for sure. Then it would just be like,
Well, would it though? Because sometimes I'd be like, Jesus, that's the same. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think at that point, then you're getting to the, like, if you just put the track markers in, is it just like 5 small songs that just connect together like some sort of a prog thing? You know what I mean? Like, but they're not long enough to be individual songs, really. I mean, they obviously could, but like they wouldn't feel like full songs to me. But because you've told me it's a medley beforehand, I wasn't expecting it to be full songs, so I was more accepting of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're going to pay tribute to a band that you love, and you can only do so much within the confines of one track called Merciful Fate. I was thinking, like, if you told me, like, I could pick any 5 Depeche Mode songs and just put them together to, like, pay tribute to the band, you'd have to do it like this. There'd be no other way to do it.
We should do that, Patrick.
Well, I would just cover, trust me, I've spent a long time thinking about, like, if I could cover a Depeche Mode song, which one would it be? Or if I could do any cover of any song ever, what would it be? It's a tough question. I've thought about that a lot. I have a whole folder that I made once that I was just like possible songs I could do covers of. And so, yeah.
You should do it.
I don't know. I could do that. I could waste my time doing that, or I could just write an original song. You know what I mean? That's probably...
It depends on what the purpose of
Well,
it is.
and-
I would assume that making covers at the point in your life that you're at, it would be just like, here's a really cool thing where it makes me better at this thing that I want to be good at, and I get to cover a song.
Great point. To like get my chops up and go and like do a cover song.
I would. That is actually a regret in my life that I think about all the time.
Yeah.
And I kind of am probably, I mean, I played covers in bands and stuff and whatever, but like I'm not good at it. And like there are people who are really good at it, and I think that a lot of people, like, and that's what Metallica was talking about in that thing, that like that is how you learn how to do that.
And we talked about it a lot in our what was the band with the guys that all look like Justin Bieber and they were all incredible musicians? Polyphia. Right, you talked about that a lot. Like learning how the guy broke down the song and stuff was really interesting to you. And I assume what you're talking about now is like taking the time when you're first learning to learn how these bands do these things that might seem unattainable or unachievable, and then you realize how it's done in a way that you can do it yourself, whether you do it perfectly or not.
And if you're too lazy to do that,
it
you
helps
get
you
20 years down the line, and then you have to like relearn super basic crap because you didn't learn it when you were 12.
Right, it helps you become a better performer, better songwriter, better whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
So that for that purpose, Patrick,
yeah, no,
be
I
a
agree. The only
worthy
thing is like,
exercise.
what's the end goal with it?
just to do it.
Right, but if you're just making music to do it for no purpose of releasing it or whatever, then I feel like you're wasting your time, kind of. Especially if you're going to do it the way I'm
depends
doing
if you
it.
like making music.
I mean, if you can just sit down with the guitar and and learn the song and then record it, that's fine. But for me, I would have to program drums, program a bass, program synth part,
I can
program a
program stuff.
keyboard.
Would you have to, or would you get to?
Yeah, exactly. Would you have to, or would you get to? And plus, I can program stuff way faster than I can play it.
Oh, for me too, obviously,
Well,
because I can barely play anything.
yeah.
So, like, for sure. But, like, again, at the end of the day, if you can't release it because you don't own the copyrights to it,
So what? You show your friends. That was all who's going to
Let me
listen to
tell
it
ya.
anyway.
As somebody who
know.
makes stuff that has no purpose alone in a vacuum, like, you don't make sounds for the purpose of having a library full of sounds, because that's insanity and ridiculous.
What?
So it's like
More people
even
should
just-
do that, Chris. I'm with you.
I mean, they certainly do, but like, sounds are specifically for things. Like, you can't, like, I could make a bunch of different explosions, I guess, but then I would have to, like,
I'm literally doing that right now. There is a reason, but I'm going to throw away 90% of what I made. I literally have a session that I just made the other day that was just making explosion sounds.
That's great. But so much of sound design is bespoke, where it's like this, you look at the thing first, you decide how it's going to be, and then you make a thing to go with it. It's very thematic. And so it's like, you would have to design a thing first, because it's like, it's like if I'm going to make a sound for an ethereal creature of some kind, I'm going to need to know what is the properties of this creature, what does it look like, how does it work, how does it move, all this other stuff, and that lends itself to how it eventually sounds. And so it's like if you don't have something to tie what you're making into, then you're not making anything. It doesn't really have a purpose in a vacuum. And to talk about doing, like if I could make music, I would be thrilled to just make songs, just because songs are great. And it's like you get ideas and then you put them into a thing, and then it's like, oh, my idea lives. What a neat thing.
Yeah, but you're looking at that from a different perspective too, because in that case, like somebody is giving you the visual, right? Mm-hmm. And so then you have to make the sound.
Like you have a starting point.
You do. And like you could approach it from the other way. Like if Chris Parker was making a video game, you could, theoretically, I don't know that this would be a good way to do it, but you could go make all the sounds. You could be like, I have a creature that I want to sound like this. And then you could base the way that the thing looked upon from the way that it sounded. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, it's not like a good thing, but like that's totally like when I have this explosion thing I'm doing is for a specific purpose and it's silly. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to make whatever I already made several explosions, and some of them are just like tiny variations on the other ones, but then I'll have like 10, and when I get to the point of where I need an explosion, and they're not even real explosions, they're synthesizers, but like then I get to just scroll through them and pick the one that I want. And so then I get to decide what the thing looks like because I'm using these sounds that I already made. I mean, that doesn't make any sense like in a commercial aspect, and your job is not going to be like that.
And it also depends too, like if you're talking about making an entire song, you're talking about, I'm not saying it's harder to make a song than it is to make a sound of a dragon or whatever.
Sure.
But like, to me, you're investing a lot more time in that. But again, not necessarily. And if it's your job to make that dragon sound like a very specific way, then there's a lot more pressure in that. So
it's very rare that anybody who gives you the dragon has an idea for how they want it to sound. Until, of course, you give them your idea of it, and they go, no, I don't like that. And then they say, I want it to sound more red, and then you have to figure out what that means.
Right, which is awful, and we've all talked about that before, about someone not knowing what they want being the absolute worst thing.
But for a more practical thing, like, for example, music videos are, at least as far as I'm aware and what I've done, that music videos are visuals that have to match the music, right? So it's just like the opposite of what you were talking about. And so there's probably...
And sometimes it's way easier to come up with a song because you have the idea of the visual for the music video in your head.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, it's like your...
This is getting to be a circle conversation.
It is, but like your guys' disc golf thing, right? You had the idea to do that before you wrote a song about disc golf, right?
The little ad thing that we made?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
for a
specific.
Contest.
Yeah,
they have a really badass 30-second metal song about disc golf that is like
we're gonna have a lot more songs about disc golf too.
That's awesome.
But no, well, that was interesting too because we had, and that's like actually my favorite thing to do because like it was kind of this is just about content creation.
Yeah.
Which we're way off in the weeds, but because
you had a starting parameter.
Because I was trying to match at that time that brand that we were kind of making that thing for. They were playing a very specific kind of music, or it seemed like they were more likely to play a specific kind of metal, and it's not even really what we do. And people got really confused by that when they saw that metalcore thing that we made, and then they go and listen to like our weird punk rock thrash songs. And they were like, this doesn't sound anything like the Dark Ace thing that you made. And like, no, it doesn't, because that's not who we are. But I know how to make it. And that was, I don't know, it was fun. It
is also weird how people react to things if you make like different styles of different genres of music.
That confuses people.
It really does mess them up, and that's what I've been doing the last couple of years with all the music that I've written. I did a whole album of intros for a podcast that may or may not ever come out. And the whole point of the project was every single intro song was a different genre of music. And that was really fun for me to do, but to release that as like an album, people would be like, what on earth is this? You know, like no song is connected to any other song in any way at all, other than it's the same person performing the things, you know? So it's like, and I don't know, if I bought an album and every song was a different genre, I don't even know how I'd feel about it. I love it when bands do different genres and things, but there usually has to be some sort of a
It
connecting
depends
through
on your
line.
connection with the thing.
No,
Like,
for sure. And if there's a starting point, there's a reason for it to be that and all this, whatever. We talked too long about this. Okay,
Onward.
let's move on to track. Oh God, are we only on track 8? Well, I guess there's only
are.
3 to go. Okay, so we're on Astronomy, which is really
Another
interesting.
song I like quite a bit.
Astronomy, originally performed by.
well, the tab wasn't open. I'm getting there. Blue Oyster Cult, huh?
Oh, okay. Famously known
Really?
for the Godzilla song. And Don't Fear the Reaper, but Godzilla song more. Go, go, Godzilla.
Is that a Blue Oyster Cult song?
Yeah. And Don't Fear the
I
Reaper.
didn't know this was. Reaper I knew for sure.
Yeah.
But this, wow. If I knew that about this song, I certainly forgot because that's a great piece of info. I like this song quite a bit.
Okay, so this is Astronomy in 3, 2, 1. 6 minutes, 37 seconds long. A little bit of a swing beat on the.
And the fade in on the hi-hat.
I guess it's not a swing beat.
Isn't it? It's a little swingy, isn't it?
I guess.
I think.
He's definitely emphasizing certain notes more than others. I imagine the hi-hat sheet music would have something, the hi-hat player would have something to look at. And then the tablature.
Yes.
The notation.
Like acid and oil on a madman's face. His reasons tend to fly away.
This is one of the few entries into Metallica's like ethereal dreamscape catalog that I like so much.
Again, the dynamics catch a guy off guard, right? Because I'm like straining to hear it.
Well. So I love that hi-hat sound.
I mean, that sounds like a keyboard off to the side, but I assume it's just guitar. Oh, listen to that.
I feel like
verb
Metallica wouldn't. Yeah.
on the kick, that low verb.
It's just-
Usually you
Chorus.
Usually you high bypass that. You don't low. You,
on what?
on the kick, it's got this of low frequencies.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Bass sounds great.
So much bass in this. Love it.
That guitar harmony thing is also super Metallica-y.
Yep.
Oh, I love it when James does that.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would like some more master bus compression, please.
I agree, actually.
Little telephone
Distorted vocals, yeah. Is Blue Oyster Cult just a classic rock band at this point? Is that what you would call them?
In 1998?
Yeah, but the Metallica song came out in 1998. Was it a new Blue Oyster
No,
Cult
the
song?
song's from 1974.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
According to
Doesn't
the wiki.
sound particularly 70s, I don't think.
It's not a production thing, though, anyway.
The clock strikes 12 and moondrops burst out at you.
Yeah.
God, at first, for a second there, I thought that was just the bass hitting at the same side time as the kick, but that is really ridiculous low frequency hang.
Reverb is huge, yeah. Because the bass is busy noodling.
Just a place to hopelessly count the time. And then came me.
It's a cool guitar part here.
I love picked bass.
Barty bass. Lead guitar off to the right a little bit.
Call me Casanova, eternal light. These gravely digs of mine will surely prove a sight. Hey, and don't forget my dog. Fix the consequence.
This is just these tones. This is the Metallica guitars doing their Metallica guitar thing.
This is the first one where I'm like, I would really love to hear the original version of this. Just to see.
Yeah. I
to
really
see
want
what
to
it
hear
is.
Oh, I
too.
thought that about that Nick Cave song.
Yeah. I've tried to listen to Nick Cave so many times before. I have like several of his albums on CD that I bought over the years at Goodwills and whatnot, and I just can't get into it. Interesting vocal part there.
There's a lot of stuff, the vocal stuff, right? There's
Yeah.
all over the place, and
Yes.
like, that's fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Boo.
That one isn't.
It's not egregious.
No, it's not.
Because at that point they're just kind of jamming and whatever, but like,
Yeah.
disappointing. How ride the lightning of them.
I wonder if the original fades out as well.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Because that would change the equation on how annoying this fade out is.
I think that makes it more annoying because
Right,
they
if
had the
it-
choice.
if
They
the-
had the chance to fix a wrong, and they chose not to do it.
Would it be worse if the original didn't fade out?
Yes,
Yes, it would be.
because they chose to do. They
Make it
chose to
worse.
make it worse in that case. But
There's
I don't
no
know.
you can't justify fade out.
No.
Almost ever. Almost
unless
ever.
your song is literally about fading out, that's the only time. You can
Oh,
do
I
it.
think that's even worse.
Like,
So
here
fade to
comes the
blackness.
train. The song fades in. There goes the train leaving the station. Fades out. Okay,
I don't know. That's just so freaking cringe.
and that's me playing devil's advocate because I've said so many times that fade outs are lazy songwriting and there's literally no excuse for it. But I'm just saying maybe that's the only way it could be an excuse. But I'm starting to get a bit of a headache and feel fatigued. And hey, I have cancer, so let's move on to the next track, which is Whiskey in the Jar.
Okay.
We'll see how many syllables he can make the one syllable word jar into.
You know.
Yeah,
You know.
2 or 3. Jara. Jara, yeah.
You like this song.
I love it.
Quit talking shit.
Let's
Hit
go
play.
ahead and listen to it then. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. A little lead action on the James side.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's seen the video of him with the headphones on playing this villain, right?
I haven't. But
Yes.
Chris has.
Such a classic, like, chord change thing happening here, you know? What song is this? What country is this from? Is it Irish?
Ireland.
Irish thing? This is not what I thought it was. I thought it was a slower song, like Turn the Page. This sounds just like something off of Reload. To me. King Nothing, whatever. That sounds just like...
Huh. I mean, yeah, but I'm surprised that Whiskey in the Jar wasn't what I thought it was.
There's something very familiar about it. I mean, I've heard it before, so of course I think that, but... Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember this now.
There's that classic muted cymbal. So I think it's on the hi-hat this time.
It is the hi-hat.
Yeah, closed it.
I wish I was clever enough to like come up with like absolutely wrong things to say about cymbals that I could like try to correct us on in the thing, but I'm just too lazy for that.
Yeah.
Also probably too stupid.
When you don't know enough about a thing to make fun of it, you really can't.
It's an interesting thing. It's such a good proof that you are very good at something is being able to intentionally make a bad version.
Yeah. How did they decide to do this one? This is really interesting.
Yeah, I wonder.
It's very cool interpretation of something that you wouldn't think.
They could have done like any Thin Lizzy song. It would have been sweet.
Yeah. I want to hear the Ailstorm version of this, or some Celtic.
I'm surprised there aren't more of those, honestly.
Yeah. Whiskey in the Jarowa. Jarowa? So he made it into 3 so far. That's the most he's done. Jarowa. Kind of an Irish thing, though, huh?
No, that's a Hetfield thing.
Yes. Jarowa.
End all of his words with that.
Now here the lead guitar is on the left. Do you think that's James?
Yeah. That's what I said. That was like the first thing I said when the song started.
Well, I know that, but this is more of a solo.
You can play
and there
guitar.
is still some rhythm. I'm not saying it's not. Yes.
No, I know.
I agree with you.
But it is. It's a rare James Hetfield solo.
Yeah. It's nice to just hear Metallica that sounds good. Like, there's not one element of the production that's making us go like, damn it, if only they didn't do that, Which I feel like a lot of their albums are just like, oh, if only they did this one thing, it'd sound better.
A little bit of delay on the vocal, just a little.
Yeah. Pretty long delay, too. That's so badass. It is really, though,
Yeah.
Because it's such an unbadass thing to sing. Or whatever. Like, this is where the corn comes from. That's not very far from...
Except one is nonsense and one is probably like Gaelic.
Maybe. Or it's just like an Irish yodel,
Yeah.
That's a cool vocal harmony right there. Oh. That's a warm vocal harmony. That's nice.
It is so warm, very much.
That's beautiful. Love it. I got nothing to complain about that. Like I said at the beginning when it started, I was like, oh, this is not what I remember it being. And it took till the chorus for me to be like, yes, okay, this one.
Oh, okay.
And then once it got going, I was like, okay, this is now making me think of something like King Nothing or something from Reload. Which, I mean, I probably should have been thinking that this whole time. And I think I probably referenced it several times. But, like, that really felt like a song that could have been on Reload, and I wouldn't have second-guessed it really at all.
Yeah, I think the production pipeline for Load Reload in this album is just like one solid line of the same exact thing, which is great.
And that's great. Yes, we've said that multiple times. Definitely Metallica sounded the best on those 3 albums. And I think I have been fighting with myself over which album I think sounds better, Load or Reload. I think the guitars on Load sound a little bit more raw. Well, I shouldn't say raw because Chris will get mad at me because what does raw mean? But I think they sound a little bit heavier on Load than they do on Reload. But some of these songwriting doesn't necessarily lend itself to heavier sounding guitars.
Okay.
But I also like the songs on Load more than on Reload, with the exception of a few really great songs that are on Reload. And we've said it a million times. If you took the best maybe 6 songs from Load and the best 4 or 5 songs from Reload and put them on an album, you would have the most perfect Metallica album of all time. But they didn't do that. So you have some stinkers in there along with those really great songs. I don't think there's been any bad songs on this album at all. No bad songs at all.
Well, they're covers. You shouldn't be picking bad songs to cover.
That's true. That's very true.
But people have weird tastes and they'll cover trash because they like it, you know.
Yeah, but if that's the case, usually you take the song and you make it into something that's better, you know?
Yeah.
So like should there ever be a bad cover?
In a way that isn't because it's the same as the original?
Yes, but also like shouldn't the cover always be at least as good as the original?
I'd like to think so, but I don't know. I think most people consider covers to be crap.
But that's
a
because
lot of them are.
But that's because most covers they hear are by the band performing at the local bar. You know, just the cover band.
No,
well, I mean, like,
no.
look at
there's this show that's on the weekends I listen to. It's a music show, and they just like play songs. It's basically a podcast. It's not too far off from what we do. They do an interview in the first hour, and they play a bunch of. Lars has actually been on this show, and at the end of the thing. Why? Oh, it must have been right before the new album came out. That must have been why it was on there. It was a weird show for Lars to be on. Anyway, but at the end, they always do that where they play a cover of a song, and like the music they pick is just stuff that I think is like the whole show is just crap. Like 90% it's indie rock stuff. They play the same freaking songs all the time. It's on public radio, and like I don't think that popular music should be on public radio. I'm like, just give me the freaking jazz and classical and the news. That's why I'm here. But but they always do that, and like consistently the cover is just garbage. There was no reason for that artist to do that.
Yeah.
Like why? And why okay, so they wanted to do it. Maybe it was part of their live show and they knew that they were going to sell some crap if they put this cover on, or maybe they were planning on having that cover played on the radio. But it sucks. And then why would you whatever. No, I think there's a lot of bad covers. These ones are not. These ones are good.
I think you're right. The more I'm thinking about it, yeah, it's really just depends on the context and why the cover was being made. Because I was just thinking, I don't know why I thought this, but I was thinking about like there are some bands that are just so unique. How do you make a good cover of their songs?
And those are the best ones.
And, well, one of the band that came to my mind, which I don't even know that much about, but the band that came to my mind was like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Mm-hmm. Are there any good covers of Red Hot Chili Peppers songs? The only way to do that would be to make it into something completely different than what it is, because they have such a unique, weird sound.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. And I only know their big hits or whatever, so like whatever.
I feel like covers, honestly, I feel like it's a really tough fight. It's an uphill battle right from the beginning, because you have to go against, like, whenever you make a new thing, you don't have anybody's preconceived notions and like nostalgia and love of a thing to compete against.
Right.
But now you're just like, I'm going to make the exact thing that you love. And it's like, if it's exactly the same, nobody wants to hear it, because it's like, why does it exist? And if
because
it's different,
then you're making
like, well, this is stupid.
Because then you're making it a competition. Like if you make it try to make it the same as the original but better,
right?
Then it's the competition, because you're comparing the two. If you take a pop song and make it a metal song, it's different enough that it's like, oh, look at this weird different thing, you know.
That might be the key to that, is to pick a different genre.
Make it different enough that you wouldn't compare it to the original, other than just saying like, here's the melody or whatever.
Weezer doing that Toto song, I was very surprised.
You know, I
heard about that song, that cover, before I heard the cover. Yeah. And like, I'm not super familiar with the original version, but the Weezer version was surprisingly the same. Mm-hmm. Well, I was shocked, because I'm like, oh, Weezer did Africa. Like they found a way to make it with eighth note power chord guitars,
Right.
And just and like,
Yeah.
but that's not what they did. It just sounds like
The original song.
the original song.
Yeah.
People freaked out about that.
Yeah,
but
that was a-
sometimes,
They
but
were
that's
weird.
more like,
People
but
a lot
that's
of
more
freaked out
like the songwriter thing, like where there's songwriters and there's artists, right? And like that song needed to be. Somebody
It's like when-
decided and made a whole crap load of money because they decided that song needed a refresh.
Yeah.
And like,
It's like when Limp Bizkit did Behind Blue Eyes. Do you remember that?
it was.
Yeah. But then think about like Alien Ant Farm making an entire career out of Smooth Criminal. A
Right.
far
Well, and
better,
I think
a
that's
far better version of the song. I think.
well.
I mean, Michael Jackson's great, and I have no problem with the original. But because they did it the way that they did, that song's just screaming for the song to be dun 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 dun. Right? It just feels right.
I think that that's what some people are trying to do. I mean, I think that, and I bet that the guys in
So
Alien Ant
what's-
Farm wish that would have worked out a little differently for them, but that something would have grabbed traction after that song.
Yeah.
But I bet
they have
that
a new
that's
album
what,
coming out though, and people are pretty excited about it.
But I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do, and they just fail. They're like, "Oh, we'll just do the Alien Ant Farm thing."
And nowadays, and Chris can attest to this, like every single movie trailer has a slow version of a song that's just some female pop singer that's unknown singer with a simple synth pad underneath it singing some famous song. You know, every movie trailer is the exact same. It's just like
Yeah, and it's some like classic rock, like 1973
Right,
thing.
it's
and
some
just
whatever
her with a
thing.
synth and a single piano note.
It's just
bink, and then
slow.
she sings, and then bink.
Barracuda. And then this symphony comes in playing the Barracuda riff or whatever, and it's like the exact same thing in every movie trailer. And at some point, you just kind of roll your eyes and are like, wow, this is the exact same thing. Just like 10 years ago, every trailer had the dubstep version of whatever famous song in it. You know, Jimi Hendrix guitar solo with dubstep behind it. Like it was what every movie trailer was for so long. And now it's this like, it's the Lord version of whatever famous song, you know?
I sort of know a guy who does that for a living. He makes music for movie trailers, and he had an episode on our podcast about just how he works and what he does, and it is all very heavily dictated by like studio producers, execs, and shit like that. And so he just kind of has to like do the
what they
thing
say.
that they want, as they've
Yeah.
said. But it is
And
a really
they are
interesting-
looking at trends, trying to,
yes.
you know,
And there's also probably lots of legal crap that goes into it too. That
Yeah, 'cause they have to
can't use
pay-
the original version of the
right.
song.
And if it's a movie
Right.
that's made by Sony, they have the entire Sony catalog at their disposal within reason.
true.
So like, okay, here's the songs you have to pick from.
yeah.
Oh,
And at
you
this
want to
point-
do this a stripped down version of "Staying Alive" with just a female vocal and acoustic guitar? Great, go for it.
Honestly, at this point, if
Put it in the
ever-
trailer for Roadhouse, you know, which by the way looks fantastic
They're remaking Roadhouse
with Jake Gyllenhaal, and it looks fantastic.
with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes,
Oh
dude.
my
No,
God,
it looks
gross.
I know
Why
it sounds
would you
stupid.
mess with
no,
that?
no, I know that sounds stupid.
It does sound incredibly
but
stupid.
The trailer looks so. It looks like it's like God tier looking. He's a
love Jake
Do they
he's a
still have
reti-
Sam Elliott in it?
I don't
They
think
should
so.
bring Sam
He's a
Elliott back.
retired UFC fighter who got kicked out of UFC for like killing some dude.
So they're changing
it. But it's like Miami Vice. There's like a scene where they fight on a boat and a scene where they fight on a plane and a scene where they do this. And it looks so freaking good. I love it. Jake Gyllenhaal's ripped to shreds. Oh, it looks so good. I love the original Roadhouse. And I think I'm going to
kind
love
of
this one.
surprised that you like the original Roadhouse.
There's a certain quaintness to these 80s movies, but like, dude rips the guy's heart out. I mean, come on. And then they fight it with the bear falls on him. It's so stupid. I love it. I like that whole thing. But anyway, let's move on to the last. Sorry, Chris, were you going to say something?
I was in the middle of something. Yeah, I was going to say, like, anytime that a movie, either the trailer itself or the trailer shows a sequence from a movie and it's using, like, some tired old classic rock song that we've heard 1,000 times, it's like, oh, some million-year-old executive made this whole movie and I can skip it. Like...
But
Like,
it's
what
always
audience-
got they always add the strings, an orchestra to it though. Like now
In this, in the particular instance I'm talking about, it's just the use of that song where it's like, oh, Rolling Stones, of course.
yeah.
Why? We all know who that is. Like, it's very detached. I hate it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then also genre of music kind of dictates what form of classical music it is, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the penultimate song, God, 9 minutes long. Tuesday's Gone.
Oh,
Okay.
it's a Skynyrd song.
Okay, let me look this one up real quick because it has bonus people in it. Okay, so Tuesday's
It
Gone.
includes John Popper of Blues Traveler.
What, really?
Interesting. So there might be some harmonica in this. That's
There
awesome.
is the harmonica in this is white hot shredded fire, and it will never be played this well by anyone ever again.
I love it. Bring it on. Except for that kid that fake played it on America's Got Talent season 3.
I hope he got hit with a bat.
Tuesday's Gone was recorded on December 18th, 1997 during the Don't Call Us, We'll Call You radio broadcast on KSJO. And that's all it says on here. It doesn't say who the performers are or anything, but I know it says somewhere on here, but I'm too lazy to look it up. Plus, remember, I have cancer, so don't at me in the comments.
I like using this as a whatever it is.
It's really great.
Stuff.
I was looking
A
at
buffer.
I was you know what, never mind. That's probably not a
Okay.
good story to tell. I'm excited to hear this. I'm curious how live it sounds. You know,
Very.
if it's like studio quality or if it's like radio quality, because
good.
there's a lot of great live performances recorded for radio because you go into a studio and a band performs like Lights has her iTunes sessions, right?
I've seen some really impressive like Tiny Desk or whatever.
Yes, and
what
also
it is?
the Sounds have a phenomenal whole live set that they recorded on like a soundstage for a show somewhere once. So like you can have really high quality recordings without an audience sitting there, or maybe a small audience, and you can get some really interesting things from people how they perform live without with you get to hear all the imperfections that you wouldn't hear with 10,000 people screaming at them in the stadium or wherever at. And
Right.
so I'm really curious to hear this. Good. So this is Tomorrow's Gone. I think it's called. Tuesday's Gone, sorry. In 3, 2, 1.
You guys ready?
Okay, definitely live. All right.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
And it's a waltz. Oh my God.
What?
Line in electric acoustic guitars. The
Oh.
sound that I hate almost more than a saxophone.
That's interesting.
Please mic the acoustic guitar.
Oh, that's what song this is.
Put a mic on the acoustic guitar. Do not plug it in to anything. Ugh. Okay, I'll get over it though and enjoy this.
I'd be curious to hear the difference, other than like having no room. For
But you
example.
couldn't do this with it the way I'm talking. It'd be too loud, probably. Unless you had the acoustic guitar player in a separate room.
I see.
Yeah, they don't
Listen
say
to that
who plays
spank.
on there.
Train roll on.
Here, I'll look it up because it does say on the bottom of this. It says it does say on here.
Won't you please take me far, far away?
Okay, guest musicians on Tuesday is Gone. Pepper Keenan, co-lead vocals. Jerry Cantrell, guitar, which he's the guy from Alice in Chains. Sean Kinney, additional percussion. Jim Martin, guitar. John Popper, harmonica. Gary Rossington, additional guitar. And Les Claypool, banjo.
Wow.
Now let's enjoy all of that, because that sounds very impressive. This sounds like a Kid Rock song. And
Don't
the
say
reason
that.
I say that is because Kid Rock does a lot of the like, let's make this song sound like there's a bunch of people in the room all playing together thing.
Yeah.
It's bad
The only
that
reason
you
I
know
say that is because you're right, and I don't want that to be true, and I had never
No,
considered
that's not
it
just a
before.
Kid Rock thing, though. That's a music
No,
thing
I
in
know.
general. The fact that they're good enough to perform with John Popper and Les Claypool tells me something about them as musicians, right?
I think
Not
John
that
Popper and
Metallica's-
Les Claypool would be like, we got to play with Metallica.
Maybe, yeah.
Les Claypool tried out for bass in Metallica.
Did he?
Yeah, like in the beginning.
That's cool.
They're from like the same kind of area.
Okay, this is a different singer than James on a Metallica
I think it's just
song.
Popper.
Pepper. Or, oh, you think it's John? Yeah.
There was co-lead vocals is Pepper Keenan
Yeah, from
Oh, okay.
Down.
from Down.
Oh, yeah.
He was in
forget what John
Corrosion of Conformity and Down. Wait, Down was Phil Anselmo of Pantera as well?
Yeah.
And a dude from I Hate God and Crowbar, all bands that I've heard of.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Louisiana boys.
we should look into Down then. They might be kind of cool. This also sounds kind of like a song Kid Rock would do. So, just saying.
Stop saying that.
It is Leonard Skinner.
Oh, this is a Leonard Skinner song originally? Okay.
Right, yeah.
And obviously, probably the biggest influential band on Kid Rock's whole career. Kid Rock better than Limp Bizkit in every way. Just saying it.
Wow.
That's why you come to the channel, folks. You're not
Yep,
going to hear that anywhere else.
Hot takes like that.
Not
You would
that
hear it by
you're-
anybody that's ever listened to any of their
Oh my
albums.
God.
Dude, I understand why people make fun of Kid Rock, but his albums are legit good.
Which ones?
Any Devil Without a Cause, Cowboy.
Harmonica?
I love this kind of stuff. This is like listening to the band or Nitty Gritty Dirt Band or something when they're performing with all their guest musicians, you know? Mm-hmm. But then you got that spank of that plugged-in electric acoustic guitar. Not an electric acoustic, the plugged-in acoustic guitar, which I just cannot stand. Yeah. James is so happy. Yeah.
Harmonicas are tough to get right. They're cool.
Gotta get that bullet microphone out, right? That was not. No, that's a serious thing. That was not recorded with a bullet microphone.
No.
Do you know what the bullet microphone is, Chris?
The little green one?
Yeah, the little green one that you hold the harmonica in front of, and it sounds like this when you're playing a harmonica. Oh, I got my mustache stuck in the microphone.
Yeah,
Well, it serves you right.
God got you, is what my mom would say. Satan got you. Just for that, I'm gonna take a hit of Vapo Inhaler.
Just poppers.
Many miles from my home.
Many miles. You know what's a good movie? Joe Dirt.
Joe Dirt is a
It
great
is.
movie.
Joe Dirt's a great
Yes.
movie. David Spade is awesome.
David Spade is awesome.
Well, Tuesday, you see, oh, she had to be free.
Sounds like a Skynyrd song.
It does. But there's something that's like
Which isn't a
comforting.
complaint.
It's
It's
comforting,
true.
you know? That southern whatever it is. I feel like I'm on a picnic, right? We're all outside around a tree or something. I don't know.
I was thinking porch.
Porch song. Okay.
This is fine, but I don't actually like. If you're talking about that concert video of the band, that rips.
Oh.
It's like dumb good.
Oh yeah.
But like most stuff like this, I'm just like, it's fine, and it's fun to like participate in. But like,
This is for a bunch of people sitting on the grass listening to. Like this is for middle-aged women.
oh, I think that's even worse.
This is not to analyze. The musicianship in this kind of stuff is always really great, but it's great in the same kind of way, always.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. It's like that polka stuff you said before. Like, when you actually sit and listen to it, you're like, okay, there's actually some genius stuff happening here. It's just so much the same all the time that it's not, you can only appreciate it so many songs in a row before you're like, okay. But man, harmonica's awesome in everything that harmonica's in. Also, this does not fit with anything else that's been on the album, but whatever. No. This is a collection of songs. It's, you know, so.
I'm surprised that there's not more vocals from Cantrell in this.
I haven't even heard the banjo. Do you think that's Lars? I'm sorry. Kirk playing the acoustic guitar?
I don't think so.
Kind of on
But
the
I have
wrong
nothing to
side
base
from
that on.
Metallica. Yeah.
He does play that like bluesy style solo-y stuff a lot.
Yeah, but so can like everybody.
Yeah, Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah.
I can't take
And I don't even know that. I don't know that much about Jerry Cantrell.
Same.
They can't fade this out because it's live.
Lord, I can't change. No, I can't change.
This is great. I mean, you can just see them all looking at each other like, okay, all right.
Doing that thing where they're staying fixed with the mic, but then they look at each other, so like doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Gare.
Right on.
Thanks, Pop.
Gare.
Thanks, Pep. Thanks, Jer.
Thank you, Hit.
Thanks, Les. Thanks, Fatso.
Hey, they were talking to me. That was Lars.
There's your Lars.
There's Lars. Let's do it again. That wasn't good enough for me. If you played that for me, I wouldn't have thought any of that was Metallica. You know, like you can hear James' voice, obviously, and it's Metallica, but like if you just played this, I'd be like, that's some other band featuring James Hetfield or someone that sounds like James Hetfield. Like that didn't feel like a Metallica thing. Obviously, it's so different from anything Metallica has ever done that it like, you know, whatever, but like part of me like appreciates it more because of that. It's like, it's nice to know that Metallica can do that too. You know?
Sure.
Like it makes me want Metallica to do an Unplugged.
I would love that.
They couldn't really, but they could do some of their songs off Load and Reload like that. But I mean, how do you do Master of Puppets Unplugged? How do you do Ride the Lightning Unplugged? You know, they could probably work out
think you just unplugged.
fade. What is it? Fade to Black. What's
Fade
the
to
song?
Black, yeah.
Fade to Black, and For Whom the Bell Tolls, and they could find ways to make that work.
Why couldn't you do it with Master of Puppets?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I don't think that you.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, that's a legitimate question, I suppose. If I don't know enough about
I've
guitars
seen many
to understand, but it's like
I just think it would. I think it would sound weird.
I mean, it sounds
I believe
bluegrassy. You know, I've seen many. There are many videos on YouTube where someone's like, "This is what Master of Puppets sounds like with a clean guitar," and it just turns into like
whole
ding,
Iron Horse or whatever.
Iron
that
Horse
thing
was great, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And I think they had Master of Puppets on that record, didn't they? Yeah, they
if it
totally
wasn't
did.
on that one, they did it on Eventually, yeah, because they've done a couple.
I can hear that guy's voice doing End of Passion Play in that
Well, there you go.
drawly thing. Yeah, so I guess
Yeah,
it was done.
totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
But could you? I don't know what you're talking about. Could you see Metallica doing that?
no.
Because it's
No.
a different style thing. But like, I don't know. Makes me wonder. It'd be cool
Yep.
if Metallica would do that sometime in their career.
You should listen to Iron Horse has 2 Metallica cover albums and it's all like hardcore bluegrass.
Yeah,
style. Like, you'd
they're
love it.
cool.
Okay,
They're
that
cool.
sounds awesome to me. There was a bluegrass band from Europe who was doing bluegrass covers of At the Gates, Dark Tranquility. They did some In Flames songs. They were called Slaughter the Bluegrass. They were really awesome, but they only made like 4 or 5
At the
covers to my
Gates
knowledge.
rips.
You know, I looked to see if they had a new album coming out this year because I saw them pop up on my Spotify as a recommended thing. I don't know why. Probably because I was listening. Dark Tranquility had a new song that came out yesterday, and they have a new album coming out in April, I think. And Dark Tranquility, I've tried to listen to them, and I really can't get into them as much. But they're a lot different now than they used to be, and I know that they were one of the like founding Gothenburg metal style bands. And of course, I like In Flames and Soilwork so much. Dark Tranquility is the band mentioned with those bands, and they all say At the Gates is their like. Those bands wouldn't exist without At the Gates, and I've never heard any At the Gates. Not a single drop
I
of
don't
any of
think
their
you would
music.
like it
Yeah, I don't know.
because it's good. It's metal. So that means
I don't
Patrick
know.
Probably won't like it.
Which do you think I would like less, At the Gates or Iron Maiden?
Oh, I don't think you'll like Iron Maiden. I could be wrong.
I don't think I'll like Iron Maiden either because the vocals I think are all going to sound like garbage.
They're awesome.
Yeah, well, we'll see when we get to that.
They are of a certain style.
They are of a certain style.
Well,
I liked the
okay,
Overkill thing.
you can say that, but like Bruce Dickinson is legitimately a good singer. Whether
I
you
had no
like
complaints.
whether you like it or not, that I guess we'll give up to you. But if you don't like Bruce Dickinson, I think that there's things that are wrong with you. But he is.
I don't know Iron Maiden well enough.
he
I've
is
maybe heard 1 or 2 songs. But
legitimately, and he is
Yeah. Without knowing any Iron Maiden songs, unless there's something I do know that I don't know is them, in my head I'm thinking vocals like that Overkill thing. No? Oh boy, then I don't really know what to expect.
I'm wrong too, because I was thinking like Iron Maiden and
Judas
Overkill
Priest.
and like Judas Priest all fall in-
Judas Priest and
Overkill.
No, Judas Priest and
And
Iron Maiden are probably more close because
Okay.
like as far as like big metal guys that are like actually like legitimately awesome singers, like the conversation is Bruce Dickinson and Rob Halford.
No Dio?
Oh, Dio too. Yeah, for sure. And Dio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but you would say that they all are very much of the same style of like.
Yeah, I mean they're all different, but but they're
doing the
they
same
all fit into the same
Like a higher
category.
classic metal.
Like a power metal style thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess maybe.
for sure.
Anyway, let's round this off.
Okay. Yes, let's do
The new
that.
Judas Priest album came out like Friday.
Really?
It's good.
I heard that it did, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so this is the last song on here, which is interesting.
props to Judas
That
Priest for
that
being
was not the
so
last
old.
song.
That is sort
right?
of why would you and especially for one that's going to sound so much different, why wouldn't you have that be the
The
last
only thing I
one?
can think
It's
of
such
is
a perfect last song.
the only thing I can think of is I don't know what this song is, but
It's
if
another Discharge song.
okay, so if this is another like fast song, Metallica likes to do that. Let's
I
give them the
guess.
blazing banger at the end. So if that's what this is, then we'll get to see what it is. Now, if this is a Discharge song, what was the other Discharge song? Track
The first one.
The first one. Okay. Well, this is like twice as long as that one, so we'll see what we get. If we'll get more than 4 words in it. Okay. All right. Let's do it in 3, 2, 1.
Maybe this is the best bass tone I've ever heard on Metallica. Ooh, a little delay on the guitars.
It's very Children of Bodom of them. I understand that Metallica came before Children of Bodom, or anyone in the comments. Oh, I love that. Da 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 da. Give it to me all together. I mean, it is, I guess, all together.
I know what you mean though, like
Yeah,
drop
they-
it and then just go.
Yeah, they never did the.
I was kind of surprised, yeah. This is Super Metallica E riff.
Yes.
Yeah, like it sounds good, but like it's just like too contained or something. Like it doesn't sound
You mean the mix or the songwriting?
a mix.
Okay.
Maybe the playing of the drums.
I feel like we got back into the super slicey hi-hat. That was an earlier part of the album too.
Oh, really?
I mean, not
no.
that first song, or the sleigh bell
Not the
sounding
first
one.
and the second one. I thought
No.
that I like this hi-hat sound. This has been the same one that was not
like
on
this-
the live version, but the last couple songs. I like that. Really.
Okay. Yeah, this isn't bad, but it's standing out more than I remember the last couple. Is all.
It's washy and there's no low frequency in it, but it doesn't sound like it was high passed.
Yeah,
And all
I
the
gotcha.
super high stuff. I love that. Soft.
Yeah, that scratchy pick bass. I love it.
It sounds so good.
And he's sliding his finger between those notes, right? So you don't get a transient there, really. It's just da 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 da. Like, you know what I mean? He's not
Yeah.
playing each note staccato. He's
That's the way the guitar.
Jason played with the pick though.
but his left hand,
Oh, right.
the one that's playing those. Yeah. Oh, hold on. This I know what.
Hold on. There's another minute of this.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I thought it was going to do something different.
No, I saw what this was.
I realized that.
Because that song was kind of lame.
Yeah, it is. Now the lost parts of the end of Outlaw Torn from Load.
This says, "The More I See" ends at 3:23, and after a period of silence contains a short segment of the Robin Trower song "Bridge of Sighs" from the album of the same name as a hidden track.
Not very well hidden, Metallica.
So they must have just been, I assume, jamming this, and they liked it. So
I can't believe nobody laughed at my joke. I thought for sure that would be a Patrick.
Well, I don't know Outlaw Torn enough to like.
Well, that was the one they had to cut short because they ran out of space on the CD.
Oh, I see. So you're like, this is the hidden part of that. Okay.
The lost end of that song.
Dude, I don't even. I'm not even doing this.
The Snyder cut of Outlaw Torn.
Intentionally. But like, whenever you guys talk about Load and Reload, like, I just completely check out.
That's all right.
I don't want to. I tried when those albums came up. I know I wasn't there. I was only there for one of them. And I literally don't even remember which one. It was Reload I was there for?
Yeah, because you weren't there for the first one.
When you guys listened to Load, I couldn't be there that day. I listened to that album in the car. Like, I don't remember anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just fun. I don't like. I know that it's like the cool elitist thing to say that I don't care about those records. And it is, but I just don't.
They're different enough.
I just don't
I just
care.
think it's different, you know? I mean, it's
They're
just not...
stylistically different enough that you can not like it and have it make sense.
I agree with exactly what he said.
I mean, like...
They are so different enough, like, it makes total sense to me that... Not even because you're you, but just, like, I could see how a person would just not care for those two albums.
And I mean, I don't even know that I don't care for them. I just don't care about them.
That is exactly how I feel about Death Magnetic. I just think there was nothing in Death Magnetic for me to latch on to. Like, I don't remember a single... If you told me to tell you a single song...
All Nightmare Long can carry that entire record.
I know,
and it doesn't even
I do
have
remember
to.
you, now that you say that, but if you would have asked me right now, before you said that, name a song from Death Magnetic, I could not have told you a single
I don't know if
song.
I could name another one other than All Nightmare Long.
There's one I just remembered. It's that slow one.
Unforgiven 3's on there.
That's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of The Day That Never Comes.
Oh,
Day That Never
Because I really like that
cool.
song.
That song's cool.
But again, the way it's mixed is terrible because the vocals are too low, ruins the whole song. The vocals should be louder. Maybe there's a version out there that is because all the stems were available for that. So like that whole album, there's like multiple mixes online and people are selling in the comments, you got to go listen to like Mega Man 78's version of it. It's the best version. And I'm like, no, I'm going to listen to the official version, you know, shut up.
I agree.
You know, if there's, you know, but I don't know. So that last song, that was probably one of the most forgettable songs on the album. I don't think there was anything really special about that. The Discharge song.
Yeah.
I will
the
say,
thing at the end can get out of here. That was stupid.
To your previous point, no shade to whoever told you to go listen to some random whatever's version of the thing because it's the best, but I am going to need a lot of evidence and a long talk before I will believe that anybody who's making a YouTube mix of something makes a better version of a thing than any professional mix.
Yeah, but the thing
if
is,
you're
though,
mixing stems, you're just like, there's less to it. Like, so much of the work has been done, and like, you can't mess it up.
Right, and the thing
is that true though?
I understand. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
already
'cause
been
like I
EQ'd
said,
and
I've never-
compressed and everything, probably.
Okay, because I've never mixed music before, and so when I hear stems, I think this is just recorded into the computer and off to the mix.
Usually if you download stems for a song to do like a remix or something, usually you get like lead vocal track with all the effects and stuff on it. Sometimes maybe not. Sometimes it's dry. And then you get like all backing vocals on another track, maybe all vocals on one stereo track, panned the way they were in the original mix. Like, and then you yourself have to like mono it or whatever, to do whatever you want to do with it. But it depends on the stems and what the reasoning for it is. I mean, if you're going to mix a song for a movie, you get every stem imaginable because you're paying for it, you know. So like that's a little different. But like if you're going to do a remix of something for a remix competition or something, it just depends on what the person's willing to give you. But what I was going to say, though, is like in most cases, what I'm talking about probably is, first of all, the stems for Death Magnetic were all made available because of the Guitar Hero thing.
Yeah.
So that's what the stems are for that. So I think there was probably a lot more available for that album than there were for any of the other Metallica albums, obviously. And the person who took and mixed those probably was a professional, and then they just ended up on YouTube later. Like they were probably made by a professional audio engineer.
Yeah.
And then, put out there into the ether, like you did with your Twin Peaks thing. And then like people talked about it on forums, shared it, and then eventually those versions got onto YouTube as someone just uploading them. Not even probably necessarily the person who made it at all, probably. And so we've had a lot of people in the comments be like, you need to listen to this version, this version, this version. Other people are like, no, I think this other version is better. And I'm just like, no, we're going to listen to the official version. And the thing is, like, I do not like the way that Death Magnetic sounds. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't need to dwell on that. I think this album sounded really good. I think that there was a simplicity to it overall, with the exception of Whiskey in the Jar and Turn the Page, which are clearly the two best sounding songs on this.
I don't think that's true.
Maybe the Die My Darling thing.
I think that because those first two are goofy, and the first one is designed to be goofy. But then I think that after Turn the Page, like I thought that they all sounded good.
Yes. And and honestly, the Merciful Fate thing sounded phenomenal. So you're right. And Sabbra Cadabra sounded great too. Honestly, yes. But I think that Turn the Page, I mentioned several times throughout the album that there was like a funness happening. And I think my overall statement was going to be that there was less work put into this than Load and Reload.
I think that's true. I think
in a way that isn't true.
But I think the reason I think that is because this was approached as more of like a fun project thing, and not necessarily like such a serious put all this money behind it, even though I'm sure it had however much money, it could have cost whatever it needed to cost, and it would have cost that. Mm-hmm. But like this just feels like less of a production, and I don't say that in a bad way. It feels like less of a production.
I don't know. Feels like is doing a lot of work in that thing. Because it's in some ways, it's way more produced than like the vocal production. Like, there's overdubs.
Yeah, but there is throughout Load and Reload. And they're way more thought out vocal harmonies and stuff.
And Metallica in general.
I know, and you just got done saying you don't remember those two albums at all. But like the reason they stand out to me is all the extra thought put into the vocals, and the guitar riffs are slower. And
I forgot that you were talking about those two albums.
Right, but that makes the most sense to compare this to that because it's part of those same things. Black Album too, like Black Album has vocal tricks on it all over the place, and then they stopped that completely with Saint Anger, where there's not a single overdub, I don't think, on the whole album. Maybe there is. But there's not. I know there's not on Death Magnetic. Death Magnetic is one vocal line across the entire thing, no vocal overdubs whatsoever. And then they brought it back a little bit for Hardwired, and then a lot for 72 Seasons. And
I need to run through 72 Seasons again.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Do you, though?
Been a while since I listened to it.
I
like that album a lot. And every time I listen to it, the more I like it. But so I think it makes sense to compare it to Load and Reload. I don't think it's as good as either Load or Reload. I think that
yes, I agree. Yeah, you're totally right.
I don't think
There's
it's as good
four
as either
songs
of
on
those.
here that I like: Sabbra Cadabra, Merciful Fate, Astronomy, Whiskey. Just a couple. But those big three, that's why I come to this album in the first place.
I think the two best songs are clearly Turn the Page and Whiskey in the Jar. I mean, I don't think, to me, my next favorite one would definitely be Die My Darling. I thought that was a fun song. And with the gang vocals and stuff, it stood out as a different thing. It was a little faster. It was shorter. It was a very different thing for Metallica. But you can also at the same time see why the Misfits would have influenced Metallica, I guess. I mean, you can see in all of this why all of these bands influenced Metallica. And this is me saying this from not having heard the originals. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like it's tough to make that claim because of how Metallica, they made them all
if
sound.
Metallica made a Britney Spears song into a Metallica song, I think it would feel more like they were forcing it, though.
I'd like to hear that. I'd like to hear them do Toxic.
Well, or, anything. But
they'd do it. They'd kill that violin note with fucking
dun dun da 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 da.
Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow.
I want it right now.
Too high, can't come down. I want to hear James doing that. It's in the air, but it's all around.
He could do it. I can hear it.
But anyway, it's, I don't know. I feel like that would be so forced, and this all felt so natural. I'm just assuming that these songs all fit what Metallica wanted it to be at the end, rather than having to take something that doesn't fit with Metallica's aesthetic at all and trying to make it into Metallica's aesthetic. And you can say that even by that Tuesday's Gone thing. Like, they didn't even try to make that into a Metallica thing. They tried to make that into a Leonard Skinner thing that they were just doing and having fun and paying tribute to or paying homage to.
Yeah, they just played that.
Yeah, and that was great. I like that. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. Like I said, it would be great to have Metallica doing that with their own stuff, with a bunch of guest musicians and stuff. And I think that's what Symphony of Metallica is going to be, with an orchestra and keeping the metal aspect of it. I hope that's what it is. I don't want to be dissatisfied with Symphony of Metallica and have there be not enough symphony in it and just be mostly Metallica, and then every now and then the symphony comes in to do some stabs or something. I will be disappointed if that's the case.
Do you want me to tell you how I feel about that claim in terms of whether or not you will be?
No, let's keep it for when we get there.
I don't think that's going to be Patrick's overpowering opinion about that thing.
What he just said?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the thing that drives Patrick's opinion on whether he likes that album or not. I think it's going to be another thing that drives Patrick's opinion on
probably
whether he likes that or not.
the stupid crowd and the fact that it's live. But I don't know. I'm still excited to hear that, and I'm excited to delve into some live Metallica stuff.
I don't even really remember what it sounds like, but I loved that for a long time.
Yeah,
I have listened to that many times, and I love it.
I have not listened to it in a long time, but when I was listening to it, I listened to it a lot.
So let me ask you guys this. We can make the decision now at the end of the video here. Should we do Symphony of Metallica Disc 1 or decide how we're going to do it next before we do Disc 2 of Garage Inc.?
Yes.
Because if I'm being honest, I am not excited to do Disc 2 of Garage Inc.
You know what we should do
Inc.
for Disc 2? We should just do each section as a thing. Like, we should just do the Garage Days Revisited thing. And just do those 5 songs. And then another time do the other Garage Days Revisited and do those 2 songs. And then do B-sides and one-off, which is 5 songs. And then do the overhead thing, which is 4 songs.
Okay.
I don't hate that idea.
And then just like we get together to record something else and we tack that on.
And then we just do one of those things.
Yeah, like we could do one of the pick 4 Megadeth songs, do that, and then tack this on as a separate video. Yeah, I could do that. Mm-hmm. That way we get it done in chunks over time and we don't have to be overwhelmed with it.
I'm going to guess that none of that sounds good.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think at all.
Does it sound good? There's no way it does.
No,
none of
some of it does,
80s
but it's
stuff sounds good.
But Am I Evil sounds like Ride the Lightning, for example. I feel like it
was a B-side from
on that album.
Wasn't it?
Fade to Black, I think, or whatever I read on there.
Fade to
Something.
Black.
For Whom the Bell Tolls, then.
That's Ride the Lightning. We're talking about
those are songs,
aren't we?
Oh, I'm sorry. It could have been for Whiplash. One of the songs was for Whiplash. I remember that from the single Whiplash. It was like the B-side of that.
Oh, a single. Right,
yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's they're going to sound. I think my point is that at least Am I Evil is not egregiously awful even for its time. I think that they fit.
I think that one's good, but the rest of it, I don't know. But I don't know if
I don't recall any of them sounding especially awful.
People have requested that Garage Days thing Garage Days thing so much. They want us to listen to that so badly from the moment we did the first Metallica video.
This was fine, but I don't like the one thing that's cool about it, and this is one of the reasons that bands do this, or I'm sure that why Metallica said that they did that is because now, especially after hearing that Blue Oyster Cult song and hearing some Discharge stuff, I will probably go check some of that stuff out because both of those bands are sort of holes that I have. I mean, Merciful Fate too. I mean, I know what Merciful Fate is. I know what King Diamond is.
Well, and the thing is, if we're going to make videos about some of that stuff and just make it a shorter video, I would think with the Motorhead stuff, maybe it would be better to listen to the Motorhead song and then the Metallica live version or whatever. Yeah. That might be, at that point, we're getting into 4-hour videos again.
The cover picture's stupid. I'm just going to come out and say it.
Yeah, it is.
It's dumb. And it gets mentioned all the time, and it's an iconic picture I get, but it's dumb.
Iconic?
What I was saying earlier
it's
about...
a big deal.
What I was saying earlier about them cutting out their faces, it's the back image, not the front image.
I was
So
wondering
forget what I was
because I
saying.
had seen the back image.
Forget
and
what I was
okay.
saying about that.
I like
Though I do think this
I
is
like
Jason-
that James. It's James's handwriting. I like that. I think that's really cool. I think the picture's dumb.
I agree with that.
I personally
What I think would have been cooler.
think it's cool.
And they probably took a picture like this if it would have just been them dressed normal, like looking like Metallica, and they just had their shit set up in a garage, and it looked like they were having band practice.
Yeah, that'd be cooler.
That would have been cooler. Maybe even there was a car in there, like there's like a
'cause, like,
car
these
at the
guys-
back or something.
No, they don't work on cars, and that has nothing to do with who they are as
James
a band.
Hetfield
Like, that's-
might. Isn't James Hetfield
He
a
might.
car guy?
He might. Yeah,
I think
he's got
he
a
might
hot
be
rod
a
thing
car.
for sure.
I think he might
but
be a car guy.
you're totally right, and I never knew that was James's handwriting, but it absolutely is. Like you look at it, and it made me think
How could you
just
know
now
what
how
James'
funny it would
handwriting
be.
looks like?
Because you
I've seen
see
it
it
before.
in places.
Where?
Like I don't.
He wrote "eat f- on his old guitar in his handwriting in a way that I love so much.
It kind of looks like it. You can tell it's the same guy.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, how funny would it be if this is the only way that he can write?
Every
Does-
capital letter
no
is
lowercase
just,
letters.
Dude, I would be surprised. I mean, like I kind of write like that. If I have to write to be legible to somebody else, I'm totally writing in all caps.
I love it.
It doesn't
I love
look
it. It's so funny.
good. My handwriting's terrible.
Same.
Before
Garbage.
we end the video, I was going to bring this up because Chris and I were talking about this on our I Disappear video. We were talking about, does Metallica have any other songs that have never been released on albums?
Oh, sure.
So I looked up. They have a section on their wiki page on their main. The article is Metallica discography, the main article, and they have a section that says other appearances. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this list. So the first thing on here is "Hit the Lights," which the original version was recorded for Metal Massacre Volume 1, released in 1982. It was later re-recorded for Kill 'Em All. So that's a song off of Kill 'Em All, "Hit the Lights." Then they have a song called "Stone Cold Crazy" that was released for
That's on this though.
Ruby Yacht Electra's 40th anniversary.
Oh, but there is a version of Stone Cold Crazy on this.
I think, which was later released on this.
Okay.
Yep. Then we skip
It's a Queen song.
to 1997 when we have "For Whom the Bell Tolls," The Irony of It All with DJ Spooky. I believe it's a remix for Spawn the album.
Wow. Listen to all those
It's
words.
"For Whom
from
the
that
Bell Tolls,"
era.
The Irony of It All with featuring DJ Spooky. So don't know what that is, but people were
Spawn.
talking about it. Then we have, from in the year 2000, we have "I Disappear" from the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack. Now here we go. Get ready for some of this. "We Did It Again," Metallica featuring Ja Rule from the Swiss Beats Presents Ghetto Stories. You guys heard that?
God, no, but I kind of want to.
"We Did It Again."
Good Lord, I
Metallica
have to
featuring
hear it.
Ja Rule. Okay, we can maybe do that sometime. Then we have 53rd and 3rd. We're a Happy Family, a tribute to the Ramones. So they did a Ramones song for a Ramones tribute.
Oh, God.
And then they have in 2008, "Remember Tomorrow," Made in Heaven, a tribute to Iron Maiden. So that makes sense.
I'd listen to that.
Then from whatever this is, "See My Friends," the album's called "You Really Got Me," which I think is "Girl,
Kinks of
You
Death,
Really
yeah.
Got Me going." So they did a cover of that.
I'd listen to that.
Then in 2012, they did "When a Blind Man Cries," which is re-machined, a tribute to Deep Purple's Machine Head album. Then in 2014, Ronnie Rising Medley, which is a tribute to Ronnie James Dio. "This Is Your Life." It was a Ronnie James Dio tribute album. And then they have a new version of "Nothing Else Matters," Jungle Cruise version from the soundtrack to Jungle Cruise, the original motion picture soundtrack from the 2021 movie.
Oh, my.
Which, if you haven't seen that
I-
movie, that song is featured prominently in the movie.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I want.
it's like an orchestral version.
Was it you that told me that movie was good?
It's not as bad as it has any right to be.
Okay,
I don't
that's-
think I ever
okay.
told you it was good.
Somebody told me that movie
But
was
it's
good, or
not
they
as
gave it
bi-
that same review.
There's like a bunch
Who's
of
the girl in it?
hell if I know.
Because
I
it's The
think
Rock,
It's
right?
The Rock, but the cool thing about that movie is all the practical stuff. Like they built crazy sets because it's all based on they wanted it to be the next Pirates of the Caribbean. Because it's based off of a random ride at Disneyland, the Jungle Cruise ride. But like the sets on that movie are insane. And so everything is practical and they destroy all these cool things. There's things about that movie that are way cooler than they have any right to be. So
I think
Anyway,
we
those-
should do. I think we should do an episode that is all of those songs in one.
Yeah, we could definitely could. I don't know if it
Because
necessarily
there's
be worth
enough
it to
there
do
that I
some
would
of
be
those.
really interesting to hear.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments if you want that, if you think that that's a cool idea.
One-offs.
And let us also know if you think that if you guys would be okay with us splitting disc 2 into all these things. A lot of people are going to be like,
We don't care what you think.
No, you need to do it all as one album because I want it in one long-ass video. And I'm going to be like...
Why do you people watch us for so long? If you're still here, why?
It's a question I
Man,
ask myself.
sometimes long form content is so awesome for getting through stuff.
Yeah, and people watch. We have had multiple people say like, "I've watched your load and reload videos like 5 times," and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I do have one 3-hour-long music podcast I listen to now,
Yeah,
but the host is wonderful.
right. You like the
We are
So that's
not.
what it is.
We are
You're
not
not
wonderful. We're fine, but like
We're fine. I'll take fine.
that could be our tagline. We're fine.
we're fine.
I've been playing an unhealthy amount of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth all week, and all of the time that I spend not playing it, I'm watching other people play it. It's all I've consumed for at least 7 days, and it is.
Are you getting ready for the next one? When does that come out?
That'll be 4 years from now. I'm not like.
Wait, did the second one come out already?
Well, this is the second one.
That's out
It just
already?
it dropped on the 29th. Yeah,
No way. I had no clue. I had no clue that came out.
dude.
You would think I would know. That's a big enough video game thing that I would know that. You would think.
It's one of the
Again, I
finest
have cancer though. Like there's other things I'm thinking about.
I have had. It is one of the finest experiences I've ever had in my life.
I imagine it is. I've heard. I don't know anything about the game, but I've heard that the original Final Fantasy VII gets a little bit crazy at a certain point, and I think that's where this game is.
Yeah.
Right. And so I imagine you're really enjoying it. Have you beat the game already?
No, I'm 91 hours in.
Oh my god!
And I'm getting close.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love
dude,
you haven't
it is
beaten it in 91
packed.
hours.
It's packed
That's
with
so
stuff.
great. I love it.
Like,
I love it.
I can't even. I'll sit here for the next 6 days and tell you why it's so completely insane. It's like I can't even believe this is real, but it's.
I'm so happy that you're happy about it. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's end the video there. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this. Metallica is back on the channel. We're gonna do. Did we decide? Are we gonna do Symphony of Metallica next, or we're gonna do these split up with other things?
Let's do Symphony next. I really would rather do that.
Yeah, or maybe.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't care.
Now we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have to split Symphony and Metallica up into 2 videos.
It's 2 discs,
Oh, yeah.
right?
It is 2 discs, 100%.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We don't want to just like. Take
I don't
the
want to.
12
I don't
best
want
songs and-
to raw dog of that full thing in one video.
No, I know. No, okay. All right. Then, folks, you got at
Patrick
least.
promised this would be a 2.5-hour video. We are almost at 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, you guys got to stop talking.
My rebirth
so
time
much.
is getting eaten up
Your what time?
to play more
Oh,
rebirth.
Rebirth?
That's
Yeah,
exactly
sure.
where I'm going after this.
Sure. Okay, well, we will end the video here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Let us know the stuff we've talked about throughout the video. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch all 3.5 hours of it to know what to comment. We will be back in the future with another Metallica video. So until then, we will see you next time.